Chapter 622. Inside the castle. Qin Feiyang glanced at Wu Yan and the others, saying, I believe you all have heard the situation outside. If you have any ideas, quickly tell us so that we can consider them. Everyone looked at each other, but in the end, no one spoke. Their faces were full of helplessness. Alas! You and Dong Zhengyang can't do anything. What good ideas can we come up with? Lu Xingchen sighed softly. Ren Wushuang said angrily, Do we have to give up because there's no way? I don't want anyone to say such discouraging words again. Ideas are thought of by people. Everyone, think about it carefully. Lu Xingchen said, Wushuang, I know you have a strong personality, but now the facts are in front of us. What can we do? Ren Wushuang raised his eyebrows, saying, Don't call me so intimately. Do you know me well? We used to have an engagement. Lu Xingchen smiled bitterly. That was in the past. Now, other than being in the same sect as you, we have nothing to do with each other. Ren Wushuang said coldly. Lu Xingchen sighed deeply, but at the same time, a flash of light flashed in his eyes. He looked up at Qin Feiyang and said, Brother Qin, I suddenly thought of a wave. Everyone was stunned and looked at Lu Xingchen, their eyes full of expectation. Qin Feiyang was also surprised and asked, Really? Lu Xingchen said with a smile, At this time, I don't dare to talk nonsense. Qin Feiyang said, Tell me. Lu Xingchen said with a mysterious smile, I can't say, just take me out. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed slightly. Without hesitation, he led Lu Xingchen out of the castle. When they appeared outside, Lu Xingchen did not greet Fatso and the others. He looked directly at the swamp in front of him and frowned slightly. Wait a moment. Next. Lu Xingchen said a few words to Qin Feiyang before he turned around and left alone. What's the situation? Seeing this, Fatso and the others looked suspicious. Qin Feiyang said. He said he had a way to leave the island. Really? Everyone was bewildered. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, I don't know, but that's what he said. Dong Zhengyang said, This person is really hard to see through. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He looked at Dong Zhengyang and the others and said, You are all from the prefecture city, and your ages are about the same. You should know Lu Xingchen better than I do, right? Dong Zhengyang said, We did understand the Lu Xingchen of the past, but the current Lu Xingchen, at this point, he frowned, his face full of confusion. Shenlong and the others were the same. Qin Feiyang and Fatso looked at each other, their eyes shining with an inexplicable light. Boom! The crocodile group was still destroying the foundation of the island below. The rumbling sound was incessant. At first, only half of the island was trembling, but in the end, the entire island was shaking violently. They even faintly felt that the island was shaking. At this rate, the island would definitely sink into the swamp in less than an hour. What's going on? Didn't you say to wait a while? It's already been half an hour. Why hasn't he returned yet? Murong Xiong said angrily. Dong Zhengyang and the others were also restless. Fatso frowned and said, Boss, do you think he will sneak away quietly? Probably. Qin Feiyang wanted to say that it should be impossible, but he really couldn't figure out the current Lu Xingchen, so he didn't dare to make a judgment. Boom! Suddenly, a particularly ear-piercing sound came from the north. Qin Feiyang was shocked and hurriedly turned his head to look. He immediately saw a large piece of land collapse and quickly sink into the swamp. It's over. It's really over this time. The black dragon snake wailed. Dong Zhengyang said in a deep voice, It seems that in less than an hour, the island will completely sink. Murong Xiong gritted his teeth and said, Let's split up and find Lu Xingchen. Don't go. None of us know when he will come back. What if he comes back and we're not there? Won't we have to waste time looking for us? What we have to do now is to stay here and quietly wait for him to come back. Qin Feiyang said. Murong Xiong said, But what if he doesn't come back? If he doesn't come back, we'll think of another way. Although the swamp can swallow everything, as long as we hide in the castle, our lives won't be in danger for the time being. Qin Feiyang said. Boom! Accompanied by a loud noise, a large piece of the land in the south also collapsed. Their hearts gradually sank into an ice valley. Although they could hide in the castle in the end, the castle could only protect them for a while, but not forever. Because once the castle sank into the swamp, they could forget about coming out. At that time, it would still be a dead end. Crack. Suddenly, another loud noise came from under their feet. Qin Feiyong looked down and suddenly raised his eyebrows. The ground under their feet also cracked open a crack. Retreat! Qin Feiyong shouted. Fatso and the others also noticed this situation at the first moment. Immediately, the group of people retreated like lightning. Boom! As soon as they retreated, the crack expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye, and spread to both sides. In less than 5 breaths, a piece of land hundreds of meters wide broke off from the island and sank into the swamp in the blink of an eye. However, this was just the beginning. The island shook violently, like a small boat in a storm, teetering on the verge of collapse. Boom! In less than 100 breaths, the island, which was originally thousands of feet wide, was now only about 500 feet wide. And now, the speed of the island's collapse was several times faster than at the beginning. Shenlong said in a deep voice, "If Lu Xingchen didn't leave alone, then I'm afraid he's in danger now. Let's hurry to the castle." In the past, I was really curious about Qin Feiyong's castle and wanted to go in and have a look. But now, I really don't want to go in. Jiang Wei smiled bitterly. Dong Zhengyang, Murong Xiong, and Dongfang Wuhan also nodded, feeling the same. Because once they went in, they might not be able to come out for the rest of their lives. But now, it seemed that there was no other way. Qin Feiyong said with a faint smile, "Only when people are alive, will they have a chance." Dong Zhengyang sighed. "You're the only one who can laugh now." Regarding Qin Feiyong's temperament, they all felt inferior. As a person you have to be optimistic. Qin Feiyong smiled and was about to bring them to the castle. "Sorry to have kept you waiting." But at this moment, Lu Xingchen's voice came from afar. Everyone's eyes lit up as they raised their heads to look. Immediately, they revealed looks of bewilderment. At this moment, Lu Xingchen was extremely embarrassed. His clothes were torn, his body was covered with wounds, and his face was extremely pale. But that wasn't the point. The point was that behind him was a 30-meter-long dragon crocodile. Obviously, it was a crocodile king. The crocodile king also had countless wounds on its body. It was full of murderous aura, but at this moment, it was obediently following behind Lu Xingchen like a loyal follower. Soon, Lu Xingchen came in front of Qin Feiyong and the others. The crocodile king also stopped behind him, staring at them fiercely. Shenlong looked at the crocodile king suspiciously and said, "Lu Xingchen, what's going on?" Lu Xingchen said with a smile, "Don't worry, it's now our partner. It won't hurt anyone." "Partner?" Shenlong looked doubtful. Qin Feiyong looked at Lu Xingchen meaningfully and said, "If you have any questions, ask after we leave this place." Lu Xingchen jumped up and landed on the crocodile king's back. He looked at Qin Feiyong and the others and said, "Come up quickly." They looked at each other and jumped up one after another. The black dragon snake also became a meter long and coiled around Fatso's thigh. Next, Lu Xingchen stepped lightly on the crocodile king's back and said, "Bring us out of here quickly." Roar! The crocodile king roared and ran towards the swamp at full speed. Fatso frowned slightly and asked worriedly, "Lu Xingchen, are you sure it won't throw us into the swamp after we enter?" Lu Xingchen smiled and said, "Don't worry." Fatso looked at him and said telepathically, "Boss, don't believe his nonsense. We have to be careful." Qin Feiyong nodded his head without leaving a trace. He was prepared to bring everyone into the castle at any time. 10 meters. 8 meters. 5 meters. 3 meters. The swamp was getting closer and closer. Qin Feiyong's eyes became more and more silent. Dong. Finally, the crocodile king entered the swamp but didn't do anything to hurt them. It swam straight ahead. Boom! In less than 10 breaths, there was a deafening sound behind them. Qin Feiyong and the others looked back and saw the entire island falling apart and sinking into the swamp quickly. Huge waves were rolling around. Looking at this scene, everyone was filled with lingering fear. Fortunately, Lu Xingchen came back in time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Roar! At the same time, dragon crocodiles floated out of the swamp and roared continuously. There was a sense of sadness and joy in the roar as if they were paying tribute to the crocodile king. Roar! But suddenly, a dragon crocodile saw Qin Feiyong and the others in the distance and roared immediately. With this roar, all the dragon crocodiles turned and stared at Qin Feiyong and the others. Their huge eyes were filled with anger and shock. Among them, 12 dragon crocodiles swam slowly to the front of the group and formed a line. They were more than 30 meters long. Obviously, they were crocodile kings. But their eyes weren't on Qin Feiyong and the others. They were on the crocodile king under their feet. Their eyes were filled with confusion. Roar! Suddenly, one of the crocodile kings roared at the crocodile king under their feet. It seemed to be asking why it betrayed everyone and why it helped those humans. But the crocodile king under their feet was silent. Let's go! Lu Xingchen shouted. The crocodile king under their feet immediately turned around and swam forward with them, splashing mud a few meters high. Roar! Right at this moment, the 12 crocodile kings roared together and led the crocodile group behind them to chase after Qin Feiyong and the others. Their eyes were filled with a terrifying, ferocious glint. You dare to chase after us? The corner of the fatty's mouth lifted as he chuckled. Lord Fatty will make sure you don't return. Lu Xingchen reached out and stopped Fatso. He shook his head and said, "Don't kill them." Ha! Fatso was stunned. Lu Xingchen said, "I promised it in advance that I wouldn't hurt its kind. As a person, I have to keep my word." Fatso glanced at the crocodile king under his feet and asked curiously, "How did you subdue it?" Lu Xingchen smiled and said, "I was lucky." Tell me then. Chapter 623. Qin Feiyong was also very curious. The black dragon snake initially proposed to subdue a dragon crocodile. However, in his opinion, this was simply impossible. But he didn't expect Lu Xingchen to do it. And it was a crocodile king. He definitely didn't believe that it was just luck. Lu Xingchen glanced at them and said with a smile, "Actually, my method is the same as the black dragon snakes. Subdue a dragon crocodile and let it take us away." After coming out of the castle, I looked everywhere for a dragon crocodile, but I couldn't find it. But just as the island began to collapse, I found this crocodile king at the edge of the island in the southwest. At that time, it was seriously injured. When I met it, it even wanted to swallow me alive. Although I was very weak, its injuries were also very serious. It almost didn't even have the strength to stand up. After a fight, I gained the upper hand. My injuries were caused when I was fighting with it. In the end, under my sincere pleading, it finally nodded and followed me. But it also put forward a condition. It can take us away, but we are not allowed to hurt other dragon crocodiles. Lu Xingchen said with a smile. Qin Feiyong and the others were stunned. It was that simple? But why did it sound a little unreal? Was that really the case? Dong Zhengyang was puzzled. It didn't fight with us. How could it be injured? Lu Xingchen said, I also asked. It was injured by the collapsed land when it was bombarding the foundation of the island. Injured? They looked at each other. This kind of thing could happen? Wolf King said telepathically, Little Qin Zi, Fatso, do you believe it? Fatso said secretly, I don't know if boss believes it or not, but Fat Lord doesn't believe it. There must be something else. Qin Feiyong didn't express any doubts. Because there was no need. So what if Lu Xingchen was lying? As long as he didn't do anything to hurt them, as long as he could get them out of this swamp, nothing else mattered. Dong Zhengyang and the others were all experienced people, so they naturally didn't pursue the matter. Qin Feiyong muttered to himself for a moment before taking out 5 healing pills with 4 veins and handing them to Lu Xingchen. The group of crocodiles behind us will definitely chase us to the end. Quickly feed it, or else it will collapse before we can leave the swamp. Thank you. Lu Xingchen took the elixir and thanked him. He walked to the king crocodile's head and smiled. These elixirs are rare. You are in luck. Then, he tossed out 5 healing pills. The king crocodile's eyes lit up when it saw the markings. It rushed forward, raised its head, and swallowed the 5 healing pills. Boundless energy instantly exploded within its body. The healing speed of his injuries also increased exponentially. Roar! It let out an excited roar, and its speed suddenly increased, carrying the group of people and breaking through the waves. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. In these 2 days, other than the group of crocodiles chasing after them, they didn't encounter any other ferocious beasts blocking their way. The fatty glanced at the front and turned to look at Qin Feiyong. He smiled mischievously and said, Boss, you cultivate. We'll just watch. Hee, if you don't cultivate now, you'll probably still be a 9-star combat emperor when we break through to the 5-star combat grandmaster level. Wolf King laughed sinisterly. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes and looked at Dong Xingyang and the others. You and the white-eyed wolf go to the castle. Lu Xingchen, Fatso, and the black dragon snake will be enough outside. Everyone nodded. Anyway, there was no danger now. Instead of staying outside, they might as well go to the castle and cultivate in seclusion. Moreover, if there were too many people, it would be a burden to the king crocodile. Qin Feiyong waved his hand, and the few of them and Wolf King disappeared without a trace. With Wolf King in charge, he wasn't afraid of Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong messing around in the castle. Then, Qin Feiyong sat cross-legged on the king crocodile's back, took out a battle chi pill and threw it into his mouth, closed his eyes and meditated. Time passed like this day by day. Lu Xingchen, quickly take a look and see if there's land in front of us. Early in the morning, Fatso suddenly exclaimed. Lu Xingchen was also cultivating during this period of time, so the guarding work fell on Fatso and the black dragon snake. Hearing Fatso's exclamation, Lu Xingchen opened his eyes, and a hint of joy suddenly appeared on his face. Hundreds of meters away, there was an undulating mountain ridge that stretched to the end of both sides, like a coastline by the sea. If that wasn't land, then what was it? Finally, we've reached the end. Looking at the mountain ridge, Fatso and Lu Xingchen were filled with emotions. Looking back, the experience during this period of time was like a nightmare that they couldn't wake up from. After Lu Xingchen came back to his senses, he turned to look at Qin Feiyong and asked in surprise, why didn't he react at all? Fatso looked at Qin Feiyong seriously and said, looking at boss's aura, he should be at the critical moment of breakthrough. Qin Feiyong's aura was sometimes strong and sometimes weak. When it was strong, it was close to a battle master. When it was weak, it was almost non-existent. So fast. Lu Xingchen was amazed. Is it fast? Fatso was stunned. Nonsense. What was your cultivation level when you first came to the city? How long has it been? You have already surpassed me. And I'm only a 7-star combat emperor now. Lu Xingchen shook his head. How could there be such a huge gap between people? Fatso suddenly became proud and laughed. We can't help it, we're all geniuses. Well, it's too hurtful to interact with geniuses like you. It seems like I'll have to keep a distance from you in the future. Lu Xingchen said helplessly. The black dragon snake suddenly said, I'll interrupt and ask you a few questions. Both of them looked at it in confusion. The black dragon snake looked at them and asked, when you two met, what was the difference in cultivation level? Lu Xingchen said, I was a 5-star combat emperor at that time, and they had just broken through to the Battle King realm. What? The black dragon snake's eyes widened. The difference in cultivation level was so big, but they had surpassed them? It looked at Fatso and asked suspiciously, how did you do it? Before Fatso could answer, Lu Xingchen said, they have all opened the gate of potential. How could it not be fast? The gate of potential. The black dragon snake was dumbfounded. After a long time, it regained its senses and looked at Lu Xingchen, shaking its head. You're really an idiot. Lu Xingchen almost spat out a mouthful of blood. One had to know. His talent was one of the best in the spiritual state, but he didn't expect that he would be reduced to an idiot. His heart was hit hard. Let's not talk about it anymore. If I continue, I'm afraid I'll be worse than an idiot. He sighed deeply and looked up at the mountain ridge in front of him. An inexplicable light flashed in the depths of his eyes. At the same time, Fatso turned his head to look at the swamp behind him. The 12 king crocodile and the group of crocodiles had also chased them here. It could be said that they were persevering and their spirit was commendable. However, as long as they went ashore, these fierce crocodiles wouldn't pose any threat to them. The 12 king crocodiles seemed to have realized this, so they were desperately chasing after them. They wanted to stop Qin Feiyong and the others before they went ashore. However, at their current speed it was obviously impossible. Land was close at hand. Fatso and Lu Xingchen already had a victorious smile on their faces. Boom! However, at this moment, a terrifying aura suddenly surged from somewhere in the mountain range. Following closely, a bright flaming battle aura emerged from the mountain ridge. It carried a monstrous murderous aura and charged towards Qin Feiyong and the others. Who is it? Fatso, Lu Xingchen, and the black dragon snake's expression suddenly changed. Because that aura was even stronger than that of a one-star battle ancestor. And to intercept them at this time, it was obvious that they wanted to kill them. However, Qin Feiyong didn't move at all. His eyes were still closed. However, the king crocodile under their feet was disturbed and stopped, not knowing what to do. Fatso shouted, "Don't be afraid. Continue forward. Fat Lord, I want to see who is borrowing courage from the heavens to intercept us." Because once they stopped, the crocodile group behind them would catch up, and it would be even more troublesome. After spending some time together, the king crocodile had a good understanding of Fatso's strength. Hearing Fatso's words, it immediately calmed down and continued to swim towards the shore. Boom! That flaming battle aura was murderous. Wherever it passed, huge waves of dozens of feet high were set off in the swamp. Humph! Fatso snorted coldly. He raised his hand and pointed in the air. The black dragon battle aura roared out and collided with the flaming battle aura. Boom! At that moment, two streams of battle chi exploded in the air, creating a terrifying wave of destructive chi that surged out in all directions with an earth-shattering momentum. Seeing that the situation was not good, the black dragon snake hurriedly activated its battle aura and formed a black barrier to protect the king crocodile and Qin Feiyong. Because of that, the king crocodile's speed did not slow down at all. At the same time, there was a sound of surprise in the mountain ridge. It seemed that they were surprised by Fatso's strength. Fatso stared at the place where the flaming battle aura emerged. A cold light flashed in his eyes and he said, "Lu Xingchen, don't you feel that the aura is a little familiar?" Familiar? Lu Xingchen was stunned. After a careful analysis, he nodded and said, "It is indeed familiar. I should have met it before. But who is it?" "Not bad. It hasn't been long and your strength has improved so much. But you're not the only one who has improved. Try this move of mine again. Phoenix Fire." At that moment, there was a sinister laughter in the mountain ridge. Boom! Then, in the mountain ridge, a wave of fire rushed to the sky and shone in all directions. The scale of the flame was not big, but the outline was like a soaring phoenix. It swooped down towards Qin Feiyong and the others. This voice. Fatso raised his eyebrows. The voice sounded familiar to him. "It's him," Lu Xingchen suddenly said, his eyes shining. "Who?" Fatso was surprised. Lu Xingchen said, "Kong region's Feng Wuxia." Back then, when everyone was imprisoned by the people of the Kong region, he was also inside. Thus, when he heard the voice, he remembered. So it's him. Fatso suddenly realized and frowned. But Fat Lord remembers. He is a one-star War Master? You, who hadn't even reached the War Master level back then, have already broken through to the 2-star War Master. Is it strange for him to break through from the 1-star War Master to the 2-star War Master? Lu Xingchen asked. Fatso was startled, then laughed. Fat Lord is a peerless genius. How can he compare? Lu Xingchen immediately rolled his eyes and said in a deep voice, "Don't talk nonsense. This Phoenix Fire is definitely a high-grade battle art. We can't be careless." High-grade battle art? Chapter 624. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, Fatso immediately activated the dragon transformation art and transformed into a dragon warrior. His terrifying aura shook the entire area. The group of crocodiles that were chasing from behind couldn't help but stop. They looked at Fatty with fear in their eyes. At this moment, the flaming battle chi that was shaped like a phoenix had already arrived above Qin Feiyong and the others. However, Fatso only waved his hand gently and the flaming battle chi dissipated into nothingness. Feng Wuxia, who was hiding in the mountains, widened his eyes in shock when he saw this scene. He defeated his superior battle art with a wave of his hand. Wasn't he too powerful? Feng Wuxia, don't run away today if you have the guts. Fatso stood with his hands behind his back. His clothes and hair fluttered in the wind as he pursed his lips in disdain. Needless to say, at this very moment, he was quite imposing. Lu Xingchen glanced at Fatso and then at Qin Feiyong, who had his eyes closed. He couldn't help but sigh. Fatso and Wolf King, who were by Qin Feiyong's side, had already grown up. Furthermore, with his current strength, no one in the 9 great prefectures could match him. Once Qin Feiyong broke through to the War Master realm, there would be no suspense about the outcome of this 9 states war. Silence reigned in the mountain range. Feng Wuxie also didn't make any movements. But suddenly, a young man with an evil aura walked out of the forest on the shore of the swamp and entered the sight of Fatso and the others. Who else could it be but Feng Wuxie? He stood on a huge rock on the shore with his arms crossed in front of his chest. He glanced at Qin Feiyong, Lu Xingchen, and the black dragon snake before his gaze landed on Fatso. A scholar who has been away for 3 days must be looked at with new eyes. Your current strength is really beyond my expectations. Even though Fatso had displayed unparalleled strength, Feng Wuxie didn't seem to be afraid. Fatso said disdainfully, "Your strength is nothing." "Really? Although my strength might be slightly inferior to yours, it might not be that easy for you all to reach the shore today." Feng Wuxie smiled. "You?" Fatso smiled contemptuously. "He definitely won't be able to, but don't forget that the Kong state still has a lot of experts. Since he's here, the others must be nearby as well. Also, Yuzhou has allied with them. You've seen Wan Qiu's strength with your own eyes. He's definitely not an ordinary person. That's why we can't underestimate them." Lu Xingchen whispered. "What does it matter? If 1 Fat Lord comes, I'll kill 1. If 2 come, I'll kill 2 Fat Lord. If they dare to come forward, Fat Lord will kill them all," Fatso said domineeringly. Lu Xingchen was startled. He then shook his head helplessly. This guy was too full of himself. Next, he turned his head to look at Feng Wuxie and frowned. "However, don't even think about going ashore today." Wan Qiu's eyes were extremely cold. As he spoke, he waved his hand and a bloody light rushed into the sky, forming a sea of blood that floated in the sky. Moreover, there was also a terrifying murderous aura that surged out in all directions with the force of an avalanche. The group of crocodiles behind Qin Feiyong and the others turned around and fled without hesitation. Their eyes were filled with fear. This was because they couldn't interfere in the battle here. If they stayed, they would only die. Although they hated Qin Feiyong and the others, as well as the king crocodile who betrayed them, they valued their lives more. However, Fatso's expression didn't change as he calmly looked at the sea of blood. "Hellstone beast!" Wan Qiu roared and the sea of blood that floated in the sky suddenly tumbled. Blood waves surged to the sky. Roar! Suddenly, a roar exploded in the sea of blood, resounding through the heavens and the earth. Following closely, a giant beast rushed out of the sea of blood, and its ferocious aura immediately shrouded all directions. This giant beast seemed to be made of rocks and was dozens of feet tall. It was like a towering mountain in the sky, and its entire body was filled with a violent and bloody aura. In a trance, it really looked like a demon from hell. Very strong. Lu Xingchen's pupils constricted. Fatso said, "No matter how strong it is, it's just a superior battle technique. Fat Lord is enough here. Go back and watch my boss, lest he accidentally falls into the swamp." Lu Xingchen nodded and immediately ran to Qin Feiyong's side, ready for battle. "The blood debt from back then can only be repaid with the blood of all of you." Wan Qiu's body was surrounded by a murderous aura. As he waved his hand, the hellstone beast thumped its chest and stomped its feet. It roared into the sky and charged towards Fatso. "Fat Lord, I'll return those words to you." Fatso also retracted his gaze and looked at Wan Qiu. His eyes were as sharp as a blade, sharp and threatening. The hellstone beast charged towards Fatso in an instant. Its huge fist was accompanied by gusts of wind, and its murderous aura was piercing to the bone. Boom! Fatso suddenly raised his arm, and his palm collided with the hellstone beast's fist. Immediately, black dragon battle aura gushed out from his palms. Boom! With an earth-shattering sound, the hellstone beast instantly disintegrated. But at the same time, Fatso's body also trembled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. How could the king crocodile under his feet withstand such a terrifying force? Fatso stood on its back, and its back broke on the spot. Its huge body sank into the swamp. "Hold on!" Fatso shouted. Roar! The king crocodile roared, forcibly stabilized its body, and rushed towards the shore without holding back. It was not stupid. If it continued to stay in the swamp, it would be very disadvantageous for Qin Feiyong and the others, and for itself. So it might as well go all out and rush ashore. Seeing this, Feng Wuxie raised his eyebrows and shouted, stop them from going ashore. The 4 one-star battle ancestors, as well as Feng Wuxia himself, immediately performed their battle arts. And they were all their strongest battle arts. Wan Qiu was indifferent at this moment. He looked at Fatso with a dumbfounded expression. His face was filled with disbelief. Boom! 5 great battle arts appeared in an instant. Feng Wuxia's battle art was not the phoenix fire from before, but the fire beacon that had killed Fu Shan. Its aura was extremely shocking. A bunch of ants want to overturn the heavens? Fatty sneered. 5 black dragon battle auras roared out and crushed the 5 battle arts as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. Feng Wuxia and the other 4 immediately vomited blood. In the form of a dragon warrior, Fatso's cultivation and defense had increased to a 6-star battle ancestor. In other words, with a casual wave of his hand, he had the battle power of a perfect battle art. Feng Wuxia and the other 4's strength was not bad, but compared to the current Fatso, they were too inferior. Boom! The king crocodile finally rushed ashore. It was also at this moment Wan Qiu came back to his senses and shouted, "Retreat!" Feng Wuxia and the other 4 looked at him in surprise. But Wan Qiu did not explain. Because Fatso had already jumped down from the king crocodile's back, there was no time to explain. With a wave of his hand, he swept up Feng Wuxia and the other 4, then turned around and used the perfect auxiliary battle art to rush into the forest without looking back. Weren't you very arrogant before? Why are you running away now? Fatso's eyes were filled with disdain. He raised his arm and pointed his index finger in the air. A stream of black dragon battle chi gushed out from his fingertip and blasted into the forest. With a loud bang, the ground hundreds of meters in front of them was instantly razed to the ground. A hole was blasted in the mountain ridge in front of them. Wan Qiu and the others were also sent flying by the terrifying aura. Blood spurted out of their mouths and their faces were filled with shock. What's going on? How long has it been? His strength has actually reached such a level? The 4 one-star battle ancestors got up from the ground in a sorry state and roared angrily. Feng Wuxia said in a deep voice, "According to my guess, that Fatso should have mastered the perfect slaughter battle art." Wan Qiu said, "It's not a guess, it's the truth." What? The 4 of them trembled both physically and mentally as waves surged in their hearts. But don't worry. Although his perfect battle art can increase his cultivation and defense, according to my observation, it can't increase his speed. If we want to leave, he can't stop us. What's more, if we really fight, I'm not afraid of him. Wan Qiu said, his eyes extremely sharp. Since you're so confident, why are you running away? Before he finished speaking. Chapter 625. The 6 of them turned around and saw Fatso walking towards them step by step. Black dragon battle chi swirled around his body, making him look like a real dragon. Running away? Wan Qiu turned around and looked at Fatso with disdain in his eyes. Fatso chuckled. A 3-star combat grandmaster and a perfect auxiliary combat art. If we really fight, Fat Lord might not even be your match. Good that you know. Wan Qiu sneered and said to Feng Wuxia and the others through telepathy, "You guys will only get in the way if you stay here. Leave first." The reason why he left earlier was to protect the 5 of them. Although he was confident that he could fight Fatso, he knew that there was an unstable factor in his opponent's strength. This factor was Qin Feiyang. With the unfathomable Qin Feiyang and the powerful Fatso, anything could happen. A 1-star combat grandmaster glanced behind Fatso and said, "Senior brother Wan Qiu, why don't you stall Fatso here? We'll go to the back and kill Qin Feiyang and the others." Wan Qiu paused. "I think so. I observed carefully just now. Qin Feiyang is a 9-star combat emperor, the other is a 7-star combat emperor, the crocodile is a 1-star combat grandmaster, and only the snake is a 2-star combat grandmaster. As for the others from the spiritual state, we haven't seen them. They should have died in the swamp. With our strength, getting rid of them is as easy as flipping our hands." The other 3 1-star combat grandmasters also said. But don't forget that Qin Feiyang has an ancient castle. The others from the spiritual state might not be dead and are hiding inside. Feng Wuxia said to himself. He didn't agree with this suggestion as it was too risky. Even if they are hiding in the castle, we can just retreat. That's right. With our speed and strength, they can't stop us. Plus, you're a 2-star combat grandmaster now. With your Fire Phoenix battle soul, it's more than enough to deal with them. The 4 1-star battle ancestors said. Feng Wuxia pondered for a moment and said to himself, I can give it a try, but if something goes wrong, I must not fight and retreat immediately. Don't worry, we all cherish our lives. There was a hint of a smile in their eyes, but it was a very cold smile. Since all of you agree, I won't object. But I have a suggestion. Let's attack Qin Feiyong first. Because I just noticed that his aura is not normal. He should be at the critical moment of a breakthrough. You all know that we can't be distracted at this time. Otherwise we might fall short of success. Wan Qiu transmitted his voice. Fatso looked at them playfully and said, You guys are exchanging flirtatious glances over there. Are you guys trying to deal with my boss? The 6 of them felt their hearts tremble. How could he guess that? Fatso's insight was truly astonishing. You're thinking too much. Wan Qiu sneered and shouted, Retreat! Feng Wuxia and the others immediately turned around and flew towards the mountain ridge. Am I thinking too much? Fatso muttered. He did not stop the 5 of them, but his eyes were somewhat thought-provoking. Suddenly, his gaze turned cold as he shouted, Come on, let's settle the score from before today. That's exactly what I was thinking. Wan Qiu's tone was also extremely cold. Boom! The 2 of them directly clashed. Wan Qiu had a perfect auxiliary battle art, so in terms of speed, he had an absolute advantage. If it were anyone else today, even if they had a perfect slaughter battle art, they would still be at a disadvantage. But Fatso was different. His dragon transformation art was not something that an ordinary perfect battle art could compare to. With a casual wave of his hand or a casual lift of his foot, he had the battle strength of a 6-star battle ancestor. He did not need time to evolve his battle art at all. Moreover, he did not need to compete with Wan Qiu in speed at all. He just stood there and countered his moves. For a moment, the 2 of them were locked in a fierce battle, neither of them having the upper hand. As for Feng Wuxia and the others, after leaving Fatso's line of sight, they turned around and went around the battlefield, rushing towards Qin Feiyong and the others. Feng Wuxia's eyes flashed coldly as he sent a voice transmission to the other 4. Be sure to kill them in one blow later. As long as they got rid of Qin Feiyong, this unstable factor, the others in the spiritual state were nothing to worry about. On the shore of the swamp, the king crocodile was lying in the grass, recuperating. Lu Xingchen stood beside the king crocodile, looking at Fatso and Wan Qiu with worry in his eyes. Black Dragon Snake. Can you go and help him? If the Black Dragon Snake took action, together with Fatso, it would be easy to kill Wan Qiu. Help him? Not interested. The Black Dragon Snake was disdainful. Lu Xingchen looked helpless. As for Qin Feiyong, the appearance of Wan Qiu and the others did not affect him at all. He was still sitting cross-legged on the king crocodile's back. Time passed breath by breath. After 10 breaths, boom! Suddenly, 5 powerful auras emerged from the nearby forest. Then, 5 different battle arts whizzed towards Qin Feiyong. Lu Xingchen was shocked. He turned around and immediately saw a familiar battle art. It was Feng Wuxia's flowing fire of the phoenix. Then, he looked past the battle arts and looked at the forest behind him. He saw Feng Wuxia and the other 4 rush out of the forest, full of murderous intent. At the same time, Fatso, who was fighting with Wan Qiu, turned around and looked back. Just as Fat Lord expected, they will return to kill boss. But, who will kill who? I'm looking forward to it. He muttered to himself. While fighting with Wan Qiu, he sneered. You guys are really despicable. Haven't you heard of this saying? The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Wan Qiu didn't care. At the same time, he attacked with all his strength and firmly restrained Fatso, not allowing Fatso to escape. But he didn't know that Fatso had no intention of saving Qin Feiyong and the others. In the blink of an eye. On the shore. Seeing Feng Wuxia and the other 4, Lu Xingchen immediately shouted angrily. Is this the style of the Kong state and you state? But the 5 of them ignored him. They only had Qin Feiyong in their eyes. Naive. Lu Xingchen shook his head. Although Fatso wasn't here, there was a terrifying beast emperor here. Clang. The Black Dragon Snake attacked. and it decisively took out its reverse scale. The giant reverse scale flickered with a cold glint like a sharp blade as it slashed across the sky and collided with the 5 battle arts. Boom! With a loud bang, the 4 one-star battle arts were destroyed on the spot. Blood spurted out of their mouths. Feng Wuxie's phoenix fire and the reverse scale were in a stalemate for a moment before disintegrating. Cracks appeared on the reverse scale, but they were instantly repaired. How is this possible? Feng Wuxie and the others were stunned. They knew that the black dragon snake was a 2-star battle ancestor, but they never expected it to be so strong. What the hell was that scale? It could destroy their battle arts without breaking? It was only at this moment that they realized what the pondering look in the fatty's eyes meant. It was mocking them for overestimating themselves. At the same time, the black dragon snake looked at the 5 of them in disdain and said, "You trash dare to sneak attack us? You must be tired of living. Let's go." Feng Wuxie came back to his senses and made a prompt decision to retreat. "Since you're here, don't leave." The black dragon snake's eyes shone fiercely. Clang! The reverse scale let out an ear-piercing sound and charged toward the 5 of them like lightning with an apocalyptic sharpness. Its speed was even faster than the 5 of them running away. "You guys go, I'll stop it." Feng Wuxie saw that the situation was bad and suddenly turned around. His long hair fluttered in the air as he roared, "Fire Beacon City!" Above his head, a sea of fire suddenly appeared. In the sea of fire, 2 huge cities floated, as if 2 ancient demon cities had appeared, releasing a vast aura. Boom! The first city fell with a loud bang, causing the ground to tremble. Clang! The first city collided with the reverse scale and was in a stalemate. The city was torn apart and cracks appeared on the reverse scale. But the black dragon snake was not afraid at all. It continued to control the reverse scale and attacked the second city. Because it was confident that before it collided with the second city, the cracks on the reverse scale would be repaired. However, Lu Xingchen roared at this moment, "Don't fight it head-on, dodge it first." When Feng Wuxie and Fu Shan fought, he was at the scene, so he knew about the Fire Beacon City. The speed of the second city's descent was several times faster than the first city. At this speed, the second city could collide with the reverse scale before it repaired itself. At that time, the reverse scale would definitely shatter. Once the reverse scale was destroyed, the black dragon snake's cultivation would immediately fall to a 1-star battle ancestor. At that time, not only would it not be able to kill Feng Wuxie and the other 4, but it would also be killed by them. But the black dragon snake did not know this. Hearing Lu Xingchen's reminder, it wanted to take back the reverse scale, but it was too late. Boom! The second city came crashing down. A loud explosion resounded through the sky. Without any suspense, the reverse scale was instantly shattered and the black dragon snake's aura suddenly plummeted. However, that city was also shattered by the reverse scale. It could be considered a mutual destruction. After shattering the reverse scale, Feng Wuxie was ready to turn around and leave. Lu Xingchen also breathed a sigh of relief. As long as Feng Wuxie left, the crisis would naturally be gone. But after taking 2 steps, Feng Wuxie suddenly stopped and turned to look at the black dragon snake, his eyes filled with surprise. Obviously, he noticed the abnormality of the black dragon snake. Battle Soul. Open. Suddenly, behind Feng Wuxie, a wave of fire rushed into the sky. A fire phoenix flapped its huge wings and floated in the sky. Although he did not know what was going on, his experience told him that the destruction of the scale had caused a serious injury to the black dragon snake. At his cultivation level, he naturally knew how to grasp the opportunity, so he did not hesitate to open his battle soul and give Qin Feiyang and the others a fatal blow. Innate divine power. Heavenly Phoenix Eye. Following Feng Wuxie's cold shout, the fire phoenix closed its eyes and suddenly opened them again. 2 bright beams of light burst out of its eyes, exuding a destructive aura, and charged towards Qin Feiyang and the others. "Dodge!" Lu Xingchen shouted and hurriedly dodged to the side. The black dragon snake and the king crocodile were also shocked and ran for their lives. "Little bug, do you know now? No matter who you are facing, you cannot underestimate them. If you were careful just now, you would not have suffered such a big loss." But at this moment, a calm voice sounded. Qin Feiyang, Lu Xingchen, the king crocodile, and the black dragon snake were overjoyed. Boom! At the same time, Qin Feiyang, who was sitting cross-legged on the king crocodile's back, suddenly unleashed his aura. He was now a one-star combat grandmaster. "I've finally broken through," Qin Feiyong muttered to himself. He suddenly opened his eyes, and 2 cold rays of light shot out of them. "Now that this fellow is awake, it'll be fine." Lu Xingchen smiled. The king crocodile and the black dragon snake did not run anymore. Qin Feiyong stood up and leaped down from the king crocodile's back. He looked up at Feng Wuxie and said, "The siblings are amazing for being able to predict our location. However, I don't know if they've foreseen that all of you will die today." His voice was calm, but it was filled with a majestic aura that sent chills down one's spine. As soon as he finished speaking, flames shot up from behind him. The 9-leaf fire lotus had appeared. Clang! 2 leaves fell off and shot toward the 2 beams of light. Explode! When they were near, Qin Feiyong spoke indifferently. The 2 fire lotus leaves suddenly exploded, giving birth to a destructive power. The 2 beams of light instantly dissipated into nothingness. Indeed, the fire phoenix is a rare battle soul. However, it's nothing compared to me. As soon as Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he no longer cared about the fire phoenix. He used the phantom steps and charged toward Feng Wuxie. "We'll see." Feng Wuxie's eyes gleamed. In the end, he chose to avoid the attack. He turned around and left, but he did not recall his battle soul. Chirp! The fire phoenix let out a high-pitched cry. It flapped its wings and charged toward Qin Feiyong ferociously. Feng Wuxie wanted to use the fire phoenix to buy him enough time to leave. However, he did not know. He would regret this decision for the rest of his life. Qin Feiyong stopped in his tracks. He looked at Feng Wuxie's back and said softly, "Since you've left your battle soul behind, don't even think about taking it back." After he finished speaking, Wolf King appeared out of thin air. Qin Feiyong said, "Strip him of his battle soul." "Easy." Wolf King chuckled. A huge golden beast appeared behind him. He shouted, "Devour!" Immediately, the golden beast opened its mouth wide. A gust of wind rose in this place. The fire phoenix flew toward the mouth uncontrollably. "What's going on?" Feng Wuxie, who was fleeing, was horrified. He was shocked to discover that he had lost contact with his battle soul. He turned around immediately. When he saw the golden beast, his face turned pale immediately. The fire phoenix was about to enter the golden beast's mouth. However, at this moment, a terrifying battle chi shot out and struck the fire phoenix. Boom! The fire phoenix was annihilated on the spot. "Who's there? Come out and die!" Chapter 626. "It's us!" A bone-piercing cold voice rang out. 3 young men and women rushed out from the forest. It was Feng Hua and the twin sisters. The 4 one-star battle ancestors who had escaped earlier also followed behind the 3 of them, their eyes filled with hatred. Qin Feiyong was surprised. The auras emitted by Feng Hua and the twin sisters were much stronger than before. It was obvious that they had broken through a small realm like Feng Wuxie. Feng Hua was a 2-star battle ancestor. The twin sisters were both 3-star battle ancestors. Xueqi looked at Wolf King, then looked at Qin Feiyong and said, "You damn pervert. Today I will definitely dig out your eyeballs and feed them to the dogs." Qin Feiyong smiled and asked, "Are you that confident?" Feng Wuxie laughed. "On our side, there are 2 3-star battle ancestors, 2 2-star battle ancestors, and 4 1-star battle ancestors. What do you have to fight us?" "Is that so? Then I'll get rid of those small fries first." After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he immediately took a step forward and headed straight for the 4 1-star battle ancestors. "Don't even think about it." Xueqi and Xuerua shouted coldly at the same time and blocked in front of Qin Feiyong. Their pale golden hair was like a waterfall, their clothes fluttered, and their eyes were incomparably sharp. "Little Qin Zi, leave these 2 girls to me." Wolf King roared and instantly turned into a muscular wolf that was more than 10 meters tall. His millstone-sized eyes were filled with a terrifying ferocious light. "No need." Qin Feiyong shook his head. Because he wanted to see how strong he was after breaking through to 1-star battle ancestor. Arrogant. Arrogant. Damn pervert. Originally, when the sisters heard that Wolf King was going to make a move, they were rather nervous. This was because Wolf King's methods were somewhat unfathomable, especially his battle soul. But they never thought that Qin Feiyong would reject Wolf King's help. It seemed like this was a good thing. He no longer had to worry about Wolf King's battle soul. However, looking at it from another angle, Qin Feiyong's behavior was simply naked contempt for them. Therefore, they were very angry. I'll say it one last time. I didn't peek at you guys bathing. Qin Feiyong frowned impatiently. He raised both his hands and slammed them down. You dare to do it, but you don't dare to admit it. You are not a man. The two sisters firmly believed that Qin Feiyong was a peeping Tom. The aura of a 3-star War Master completely erupted as they extended their jade-like hands towards Qin Feiyong without showing any signs of weakness. Boom! However, on the eve of their meeting, a golden character appeared on Qin Feiyong's palms. Return formula. Ah! The 4 palms collided, and the two sisters were sent flying. Blood gushed out of their mouths, and their faces were deathly pale. Xuening, Xuerua. Feng Wuxie and Feng Hua roared as they activated their battle arts and charged towards Qin Feiyong angrily. Even they can't stop me, let alone you guys. I'll kill those 4 in 3 breaths. Qin Feiyong pointed at the 4 1-star War Masters with a sharp gaze. Run. Feng Hua's pupils contracted as he shouted at the 4. The 4 of them turned back because they saw the sisters coming. They thought that with the sisters' strength, Feng Hua and Feng Wuxie, they would definitely be able to kill Qin Feiyong and avenge their humiliation. However, they never expected that in just 1 round, the sisters would be sent flying by Qin Feiyong. Seeing this scene, they were already panicking. Now that they heard Feng Hua's cold shout, they didn't dare to hesitate and turn to run. But just as they were running away, Qin Feiyong waved his hand and golden light burst out. Boom! Feng Wuxie and Feng Wuxie's battle arts changed sides and attacked the 2 of them. Their expressions changed drastically as they hurriedly dodged to the side. The 2 battle arts blasted onto the ground, causing dust and dirt to fly everywhere, forming a huge crater. Although Feng Wuxie and Feng Wuxie had dodged, they were still sent flying by the shockwave. Qin Feiyong looked at the 2 of them and raised his hand. Ultimate destruction. But the target was not Feng Wuxie and Feng Hua, but the 4 1-star War Masters. An invisible force roared out, exuding the power to destroy the world. Feeling the terrifying killing move approaching quickly, the 4 of them turned pale with fear, wishing that they could grow a few pairs of wings. Spread out. Seeing this, Feng Wuxie and Feng Wuxie were also extremely anxious, but it was too late to save them now. So, instead of being wiped out by Qin Feiyong, it was better to let them spread out. Maybe 1 or 2 could be saved. Hearing this, the 4 of them didn't dare to hesitate and immediately spread out. In the blink of an eye. Boom! The invisible force arrived, causing the earth to collapse and the ancient trees to shatter. This area was directly razed to the ground. The 4 of them were also instantly drowned by the terrifying shockwave, and their screams resounded through the clouds. Are they dead? Feng Hua and Feng Wuxie looked at that place anxiously. Xuening and her sister also ran over, their faces full of worry and anger. Brother, come and take a look too. Are they dead? Wolf King chuckled and waved his claws. A gust of wind appeared out of thin air, sweeping up the dust and ashes in the sky and rushing into the distance. Everything was clear in front of their eyes. They saw the 4 1-star War Masters lying quietly in a pool of blood, their bodies a mess of flesh and blood. And they could no longer sense any signs of life. Obviously, they were dead. This is impossible. Looking at the 4 corpses, Feng Wuxie and the other 3 clenched their hands tightly, their faces full of disbelief. They clearly didn't hit them head-on. How could they die? Wolf King said contemptuously, for little Qin Zi who has mastered 3 perfect battle arts, isn't it easy to kill them? 3 perfect battle arts. The 4 of them trembled. Who was this Qin Feiyong? Not only did Fatso beside him have perfect battle arts, but he also mastered 3. Oh my god! How could they live like this? Qin Feiyong said indifferently. Okay, the hindrance has been eliminated, now it's your turn. Xueru suddenly turned to stare at Qin Feiyong and hissed. You're a madman, a demon. Yes, I'm a madman. Do you remember what I said to you last time? The show has just begun. Now it's time for you to pay the price for everything you've done. None of you should think about living. Qin Feiyong's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and a red sword energy appeared. Clang! 10 sword shadows appeared out of thin air. Guiyuan sword technique. Each sword shadow had the power of a perfect battle art. Let's see how many of them you can block. Qin Feiyong waved his hand, and a sword shadow with a monstrous sharpness slashed towards the 4 of them. Don't be complacent too early. Feng Hua pushed Feng Wuxia and the other 2 aside and took a step forward, his entire body emitting a bright golden light. Golden body technique. With a low roar, his skin, eyes, and long hair all turned golden, as if they were plated with a layer of gold leaf. Following that, he raised his fist and actually punched the sword shadow with his bare hands. Clang! The sword shadow and fist collided, and an ear-splitting metallic sound exploded. Feng Hua's current body was as if it was cast from divine iron, causing Qin Feiyong to be rather surprised. The first sword shadow dissipated. On Feng Hua's fist, there was only a small scratch, which showed how astonishing his defense was. Of course, this was all thanks to Feng Hua's cultivation. Although the golden body technique was only a high-grade battle art, his 2-star war master cultivation made up for his shortcomings. Although the Guiyuan sword technique was a perfect battle art, Qin Feiyong was only a 1-star war master. The 2 of them could be said to be about the same. However, to Qin Feiyong, Feng Hua's strength did not pose much of a threat to him. This was because the number of Guiyuan sword techniques would increase as one's cultivation increased. War Master Realm could condense 10 sword shadows. War Emperor Realm, 20 sword shadows. Now that he had broken through to the War Master Realm, he could condense 30 sword shadows. These 30 sword shadows were equivalent to 30 great killing moves. Could Feng Hua withstand them? The second sword shadow descended. Feng Hua relied on the powerful defense of his body to shatter the sword shadow, but the wound on his fist became bigger and bigger. By the 4th sword shadow, his wound was so deep that his bones could be seen, and blood was flowing out. Moreover, his entire arm was lacerated. I'll take your life now. Qin Feiyong shouted coldly, and the remaining 5 sword shadows all descended in an instant. A sense of fear rose in Feng Hua's heart. He did not dare to take it head-on. This was because these 5 sword shadows were enough to break through his golden body's defense and shatter his bones. Previous chapter, next chapter, boom. At this moment, Feng Wuxia moved. He landed beside Feng Hua in 1 step and shouted at him, "Attack! Fire Beacon City! Wind Shock Slash!" The 2 great 2-star war sect experts joined forces and did not hold back at all. High up in the sky, the sea of fire churned and waves of fire surged. 2 huge cities stood tall and majestic, emitting a vast might. Below, a huge golden sword was lying horizontally in the air. It was more than 100 feet long and released tens of thousands of sword qi. Its sharpness was oppressive. Qin Feiyong, let us tell you now, in front of our Kong state, you do not have the capital to be arrogant. Kill! The 2 of them shouted. The 2 cities, the huge golden sword immediately smashed towards the 5 sword shadows. Boom! Crack! It was as if comets had collided, erupting with boundless light. The destructive aura was earth-shattering. The nearby mountains continued to collapse, and the flowers and trees were turned into ashes. In the blink of an eye, the thousands of meters of land was like a land of death. Not a single blade of grass was left. Ah! At the same time, 2 screams rang out. Feng Hua and Feng Hua flew out like meteors. Their bodies were covered in blood and dyed the sky red. Qin Feiyong was also constantly retreating. His face was pale and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. But compared to Feng Hua and Feng Wuxia, his injuries were nothing. Bang! He stepped on the ground and stabilized his body. He no longer paid attention to Feng Wuxia and Feng Hua and shifted his gaze to Xueqi and Feng Hua. The 2 sisters were also filled with anger. You are both 3-star war sect experts. Don't disappoint me. Qin Feiyong wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His body shook and a red sword qi broke out from his body and rushed into the sky. Clang! In the blink of an eye, 20 sword shadows were formed. Each sword shadow released a terrifying sharpness. For a moment, the world seemed to be filled with countless invisible blades. The sisters' skin was aching. The 2 girls could not help but feel apprehensive. Although their cultivations surpassed Qin Feiyong's by 2 small realms, the methods that Qin Feiyong displayed at this moment were truly too shocking, causing them to involuntarily feel panic. But Qin Feiyong's contemptuous gaze and disdainful tone made them extremely angry. Qin Feiyong, don't look down on us women. Frost arts. The two girls' gazes turned cold. As they waved their hands, a cold wind blew and the temperature plummeted. Even the sky was fluttering with heavy snow. In the blink of an eye, the place had turned into a snowy glacier. The cold current was bone-chilling. Qin Feiyong's eyes were filled with astonishment as he asked, "Both of you have grasped the same battle art?" "Yes." "Although the frost arts is only a high-grade battle art, the effect of the two of us combined is infinitely close to a perfect battle art." The tone of the two sisters was like the temperature at the moment. It carried a bone-chilling coldness. "Nothing is too strange in this world," Qin Feiyong mumbled. "However, with the cultivation of a 3-star battle ancestor and the frost arts infinitely close to a perfect battle art, this pair of sisters might really be a tough nut to crack." Clang! With a wave of his hand, 20 sword shadows whizzed out and locked onto the two sisters. "Frost arts, freeze!" The two girls looked at each other and shouted coldly at the same time. The snowflakes floating in the air rushed towards the 20 sword shadows. In less than 3 breaths, the 20 sword shadows turned into 20 icicles and were frozen in the air. Bang! After freezing the sword shadows, the two girls shouted coldly again. Crack! Words were law. The 20 icicles shattered and turned into countless pieces of ice that fell from the sky. Qin Feiyong was stunned. They dissolved his Guiyuan sword art just like that? It seemed that these two girls were even harder to crack than he had imagined. Xueqi said, "If we weren't together, we might not be your match. But now that we've teamed up, you have no chance of winning." "Is that so? I wonder if you can freeze invisible things." Qin Feiyong raised his arm and pointed his index finger in the air. An invisible force surged out. The pupils of the two sisters contracted. In a trance, they seemed to see a beast hiding in the air, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as it pounced towards them. "Frost arts, condense." The two girls didn't dare to be negligent and waved their hands. Immediately, the snowflakes that filled the sky gathered together and condensed into a thick ice wall in the air in front of them. Boom! Accompanied by a loud sound, the invisible force smashed onto the ice wall. However, only a few cracks appeared on the ice wall. Seeing this, the two sisters let out a sigh of relief and a trace of contempt appeared in their eyes. "Right now, our strength is comparable to that of a 6-star battle ancestor. And you, although you have a perfect battle art, you're only a 1-star battle ancestor. The battle strength you can display is at most a 5-star battle ancestor. Tell us, where did your chances of winning come from?" "I was originally a bit worried, but I didn't expect you to be so weak. If you don't want to die without a complete corpse, then immediately commit suicide to apologize." The two girls shouted. "Commit suicide to apologize? It seems that you've all become arrogant." Qin Feiyong laughed. Chapter 627. Fight. Qin Feiyong shouted coldly. Boom. A monstrous battle intent rushed out of his body and into the sky. At the same time, his long hair and eyes quickly turned blood-red as if they were dyed in blood. Feeling the battle intent rushing towards them, the sisters couldn't help but tremble. In a trance, they seemed to have seen the return of an invincible god of war. Qin Feiyong looked at them and said calmly, "What other tricks do you have? Show me everything, or you won't have another chance." Damn pervert! How arrogant! Snowstorm! The two girls were furious. They waved their hands and a violent wind suddenly appeared. The snowflakes that filled the sky danced with the wind and condensed into a giant snow-white tornado that roared towards Qin Feiyong. Whoosh! Qin Feiyong took a step forward and went up to meet him with a palm strike. Golden light burst out. The snowstorm immediately stopped in the void and then whistled toward the sisters. What kind of battle technique is he using? The two girls' eyes were full of shock and they quickly condensed an ice wall in the void in front of them. Boom! The snowstorm fiercely blasted towards the ice wall. The two girls' delicate bodies trembled and they immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. "Giving you a taste of your own medicine, this is the ability of my battle technique," Qin Feiyong said calmly and took another step forward, instantly closing the distance between him and the two girls. His long hair and clothes fluttered in the wind, and his aura was like a rainbow. The sisters' hearts sank. From Qin Feiyong, They felt that he would kill any god or demon that stood in his way. They deeply realized that today, between the spiritual state and the Kong state, it would be either you die or I die. They made a prompt decision. The two girls used their strongest battle technique. Dance of Death. The snowflakes floating in the void suddenly danced. At first glance, it looked like a group of beautiful girls wearing white dresses dancing in the air, dazzling the eyes. But at this moment, each snowflake emitted a shocking sharpness, like an indestructible sharp blade. Damn pervert. It's over. The two women's gazes were cold and piercing. With a wave of their jade-like hands, the dancing snowflakes suddenly turned into a torrent, filling the sky and surging towards Qin Feiyong. His aura firmly locked onto Qin Feiyong. I should be the one saying that. Qin Feiyong's eyes were overflowing with bloody light, as if there was a sea of blood in his eye sockets. He pushed his hands forward, and two golden lights suddenly appeared. As soon as the golden light appeared, it was like a raging wave in a vast ocean, fiercely rushing forward. Boom! Crack! The moment the two met, there was a stalemate in the void. The golden light was like a shield. Snowflakes crazily crashed into it, but they were all bounced back by the golden light and collided with the snowflakes behind them. Immediately, this place glowed brightly. The destructive shockwave was earth-shattering, destroying everything in the vicinity. Qin Feiyong's face gradually turned pale. Although the ability of the return formula could be said to be heaven-defying, the cultivation of the two sisters was two small realms higher than him. Moreover, the Dance of Death was also their trump card. For a moment, he couldn't do anything to the two girls. But at the same time, the two sisters' faces were even paler than Qin Feiyong's. In his heart, waves was surging. One had to know. Qin Feiyong was only a one-star war master. Facing the combined forces of two 3-star war masters, he was actually able to steadily gain the upper hand? If he were to break through to a 2-star war master or a 3-star war master, who would be his match in the entire 9 provinces? They really couldn't figure it out. Qin Feiyong's battle art of returning the favor to himself, what level did it belong to? Could it be that it had already surpassed the perfect battle art? But in this world, wasn't the perfect battle art already the top battle art? Puff! 5 breaths later, the two girls couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood, their faces deathly pale. On the other hand, Qin Feiyong. Although there were injuries, he didn't look weak at all. His spirit was hale and hearty. When the two sisters noticed this, they once again fell into deep disbelief. Could it be that this damn pervert was an unkillable cockroach? 10 breaths later, the two sisters' bodies began to tremble violently. The blood that flowed out of their mouths had already dyed their clothes red. It was also at this moment. Qin Feiyong's eyes surged with killing intent as he said, "It's time to send you on your way." Boom! His arms shook, and a terrifying battle intent soared into the clouds. At the same time, an even more majestic golden light gushed out from his palms. The remaining snowflakes were all bounced back in an instant. Whiz! The snowflakes were like blades, accompanied by an ear-piercing sound as they shot towards the two sisters. Seeing this scene, the two women's faces were ashen. Their entire bodies were cold, and a sense of despair that could not be dissolved rose in their hearts. The god of death had descended. His life was in danger. Boom! But at this moment, a sudden change occurred. A resplendent beam of light, carrying an astonishing aura, shot out from the forest beside them. Boom! The snowflakes were instantly crushed. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. He turned to look at the forest beside him, and immediately saw a black shadow that turned and fled into the distance. "How dare you ruin my plans?" Qin Feiyong's eyes were filled with a trace of hostility, and he shouted without turning his head. "White-eyed wolf." Understood. Wolf King immediately used the void escape step and chased after the black shadow. Immediately, Qin Feiyong turned back to look at the Xueqi sisters, his eyes filled with killing intent. But the place where the sisters were before was already empty. Immediately, Qin Feiyong's eyes darkened. He looked up and saw that 300 meters away, the two sisters were carrying a person each, quickly escaping. The two sisters were carrying Feng Wuxie and Feng Hua. Something's wrong. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong's expression changed, and he chased after the 4 of them. Because the two sisters were heading towards the place where Fatso and Wan Qiu were fighting, obviously to help Wan Qiu escape. Boom! More than 10 breaths passed. Suddenly, there was a deafening explosion in front of them. Bastard! Don't run if you have the guts. Following closely, Fatso's angry voice sounded. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang's heart turned cold, and he did not continue to chase after them. Because Wan Qiu had grasped the perfect support technique and was also a 3-star war master, with his current speed, it was impossible for him to catch up. Not long later, Qin Feiyang saw Fatso rushing towards him. As soon as Fatso arrived in front of Qin Feiyang, he frowned. "Boss, what are you doing? Why did you let those 2 little girls run away?" Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Originally they were all going to die, but at the critical moment, someone secretly helped them. Who? Fatso was surprised. Qin Feiyang shook his head. "I didn't see it clearly either, but I told the white-eyed wolf to chase after them. Let's go and meet up with Lu Xingchen first." Fatso nodded. However, when the two came to the swamp, they found that Lu Xingchen was gone, and only the black dragon snake and the crocodile king were there. Qin Feiyang looked at the black dragon snake and the crocodile king and asked, "Where is Lu Xingchen?" The 2 beasts were slightly stunned. They looked around with confusion in their eyes. Fatso said angrily, "Speak." The black dragon snake shook its head and said, "Our attention was on Qin Feiyang just now, and we didn't notice when he left." Heard. Qin Feiyang and Fatso looked at each other with a trace of suspicion in their eyes. Lu Xingchen disappeared, and the mysterious man appeared. Was this a coincidence? Whoosh! Soon, a sound of breaking air came from the left side of the forest, and Wolf King landed in front of Qin Feiyang like lightning. Qin Feiyang asked, "How is it?" Wolf King said, "That man's speed was very fast. I couldn't catch up with him, and I didn't see his face clearly." What? Even Wolf King couldn't catch up with him? Qin Feiyang and Fatso looked at each other. Didn't that mean that the mysterious man's cultivation was stronger than Wolf King's? Was there such a person in the other 8 states? Wolf King was suddenly stunned. He looked around and asked doubtfully, "Where is Lu Xingchen?" "I was about to ask you. When you went to chase the mysterious man, was Lu Xingchen here?" Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. The Crocodile King was subdued by Lu Xingchen, so there were some things that couldn't be said face to face. Wolf King thought carefully and replied secretly, "I didn't pay attention to him at that time, so I didn't know." "Why? Are you suspecting Lu Xingchen?" "Impossible, he is just a 7-star combat emperor. He doesn't have the strength." Qin Feiyang frowned. He was indeed suspecting Lu Xingchen, because Lu Xingchen's departure was too coincidental. But Wolf King's words were not without reason. Lu Xingchen didn't have the ability to do so. But what was going on? Why did Lu Xingchen leave without saying anything? Whoosh! At this moment, another air-piercing sound came from the forest on the right. Qin Feiyang turned his head and saw a white figure rushing over. Who else could it be but Lu Xingchen? Seeing Qin Feiyang and the others gathered together, Lu Xingchen was slightly stunned and said in surprise, "Have you killed Wan Qiu and the others?" "No, they were rescued by a mysterious man." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "What?" Lu Xingchen's face froze and he said in surprise, "Who is this man who can rescue them from your hands?" Qin Feiyang said, "We don't know. We didn't see his face clearly. By the way, where did you go just now?" After being asked by Qin Feiyang, Lu Xingchen suddenly thought of something and said in a low voice, "Let's not talk about the mysterious man later. I'll take you to a place first." When he spoke, he looked a little excited. "Where is it?" Qin Feiyang and the others were suspicious. "You'll know when we get there." Lu Xingchen smiled mysteriously and turned to lead Qin Feiyang and the others to the forest on the right. About 50 breaths passed. They came to a valley. The valley covered an area of hundreds of feet and was surrounded by mountains on all sides. There was no entrance or exit. Fatso glanced at the valley and asked, "What is this place?" "You'll know when you get there." Lu Xingchen led the others to climb to the top of the mountain on the left. The mountain was only 100 feet high. They soon reached the top of the mountain. Lu Xingchen gestured for them to be quiet and walked to the edge. At the edge, they stood in the grass and looked into the valley. Immediately, Qin Feiyang, Fatso, Wolf King, Black Dragon Snake, and King Crocodile couldn't help but feel their scalps tingle. They saw that there were countless bones piled up in the valley. The white scene was like a hell. There were bones of both beasts and humans. Fatso said in surprise. What the hell is this place? There are so many bones? Lu Xingchen pointed to a place and said, the bones are not important. The flower is the key. Flower? Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. They looked in the direction Lu Xingchen pointed at for a while, and their gazes suddenly locked onto a skull. That skull was the skull of a ferocious beast. And in the middle of the skull, there was a blooming flower. This flower was rooted on the skull and was the size of a baby's fist. Its shape was similar to a snow lotus. It was white as if it was carved out of bones. However, it was different from the snow lotus. It only had 3 leaves, which flickered with an eerie white luster, giving people a gloomy feeling. Fatso looked at it for a while and asked, is this a snow lotus? How can a snow lotus grow on a skeleton? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him. However, this flower did look somewhat familiar. Lu Xingchen said, this is the flower of death. Flower of death? Why haven't I heard of it? Fatso was surprised. Wolf King, King Crocodile, and Black Dragon Snake were also surprised. But at the same time, Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. After Lu Xingchen's reminder, he finally remembered the relevant records of the Flower of Death. Fatso noticed Qin Feiyang's strange expression and was stunned. He said, boss, there's something wrong with your eyes. Could it be some kind of treasure? But why does the name Flower of Death sound like an ominous item? Qin Feiyang said, in a sense, the Flower of Death is indeed an ominous item. What do you mean? Is there another meaning? Fatso was puzzled. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked up at Lu Xingchen. Since you know that it's the Flower of Death, you must know the use of the Flower of Death. Explain it to everyone. Lu Xingchen said, I only heard about it from hearsay. I don't know the details. It's better for you to explain. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. We're all smart people. Why bother pretending? Lu Xingchen was stunned, then shook his head and smiled bitterly. Brother Qin, can't you be more tactful with your words? At least leave me some face. Qin Feiyang secretly sneered and said, I've always been this straightforward. If Brother Lu is not used to it, I'll try to correct it in the future. That's not necessary. I like to deal with straightforward people like you. Okay, I'll talk about the Flower of Death. The Flower of Death itself carries a strong poison that can kill instantly. It's no exaggeration to say that even a combat master would die if touched. Moreover, except for a special flower called the Jade Crystal Flower, nothing can detoxify it, including antidote pills. Of course, the legendary divine pills and miraculous medicines are a different matter. Lu Xingchen said, It's that scary? Hearing this, when they looked at the Flower of Death again, Fatso, Wolf King, Black Dragon Snake, and King Crocodile's eyes were filled with fear. It's indeed very scary. However, it has another name, the Flower of Immortality. Lu Xingchen said. Flower of Death, Flower of Immortality. Why are these 2 names so contradictory? Fatso was a little puzzled and asked, Do you mean that the Flower of Death will never wither and will never die? No. The Flower of Death will wither. What I mean by immortality is that it can be refined into a magical elixir that can save lives. Chapter 628. Essence Soul Pill. This pill has the magical effect of cultivating the Sea of Consciousness. Lu Xingchen said, Repair the Sea of Consciousness. Upon hearing this, Fatso, Wolf King, King Crocodile, and Black Dragon Snake's eyes suddenly lit up. At the same time, Dong Zhongyang and the others in the castle were also full of desire. Especially Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong. Their eyes were full of greed. How is it? Tempting, right? But it's not that easy to refine the Essence Soul Pill. First, the pill recipe. The pill recipe of the Essence Soul Pill is probably only available in the capital of the entire Great Qin Empire. Second, this jade crystal flower is as rare as the death flower. As far as I know, it has never appeared in the spiritual state. Secondly, the other herbs. Although these herbs are not as precious as the jade crystal flower and the death flower, they are definitely very rare. Lu Xingchen said. Fatso, Wolf King, and the other beasts looked at each other. According to this, refining the essence soul pill was really not easy. However, Qin Feiyang lowered his head and seemed to be deep in thought. He felt like he had seen the jade crystal flower somewhere before. Let's not talk about this first. This death flower will definitely die if it touches it. How can I get it? Fatso lowered his head and stared at the death flower, almost drooling. Lu Xingchen shook his head and laughed. Don't show a covetous look. The death flower is a treasure to us, but to you, it has no value at all. Why? Fatso frowned. Lu Xingchen said, because you have fused with the fire of life. If the sea of consciousness is broken, the energy of the fire of life can repair it. Yes. Fat Lord is now immortal. How can you ordinary people compare to him? Fatso said with a look of realization, his face full of pride. At this moment, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He raised his head and rolled his eyes at Fatso. To pick the death flower, you must first find the jade crystal flower. Yeah. If I didn't have the jade crystal flower to purify the poison, I'm afraid that I would end up like the owner of those bones. Lu Xingchen sighed. Although the treasure was right in front of him, it was harder than ascending to the heavens to get his hands on it. Qin Feiyang asked curiously, how did you find this place? This is all thanks to the fire beacon and the twin sisters. When I saw Wan Qiu and Feng Wuxia appear, I wondered why Feng Hua and the twin sisters didn't appear. Later, when I saw them appear, I wondered if they were bound by something. After thinking about it again and again, I've decided to look around. Who knows, I might find something shocking. As expected, I found the flower of death here. On the opposite mountain peak, I also discovered some footprints. I'm guessing they were left behind by Feng Hua and the others. Lu Xingchen said. Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. He didn't expect that Lu Xingchen wouldn't even let go of these details. Now, he was really terrifying. After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyang said, take us to see those footprints. Follow me. Lu Xingchen said. The group followed behind Lu Xingchen and arrived at the other side of the mountain after a long time. At the edge of the mountain peak, the soil was a little soft, and there were indeed many footprints left on it. Qin Feiyang glanced around and said, Fatso, go and take a closer look. Fatso nodded, walked to a few footprints, squatted on the ground, and carefully observed them. After a while, he stood up, looked at Qin Feiyang, and said, Boss, it should have been left behind by Feng Hua and the others, because there are 2 footprints, and they are much smaller than the others. If I'm not wrong, they belong to the twin sisters. Qin Feiyang nodded. In this case, Lu Xingchen didn't lie. In other words, Lu Xingchen had nothing to do with the mysterious man. But who on earth was the mysterious man? Could it be them? Suddenly, Qin Feiyang thought of 2 people. They were the brother and sister that Feng Wuxia had mentioned. The brother and sister could predict his location, so they must have extraordinary abilities. Fatso glanced at Qin Feiyang and frowned. Boss, what are you thinking about? Nothing. Qin Feiyang shook his head and put the matter of the mysterious man aside for the time being. Because these questions couldn't be figured out. They could only find out in the future. He glanced at the death flower in the valley and whispered, Go around and see if there are any other footprints. Lu Xingchen said, Do you mean that Wan Qiu and the others may still be hiding nearby? If it were you, would you give up the death flower so easily? Qin Feiyang asked back. No. Lu Xingchen shook his head and said, But I have to give it up because I don't have the ability to get it. Qin Feiyang said, So, you've given up? What else can I do? I can't risk my life to pick it up. Lu Xingchen smiled bitterly. Fat Lord is not willing to give up just like that. Fatso looked at the death flower, his eyes full of reluctance. Although it was useless to him, there was still Qin Feiyang and the others, right? Of course. Now that they had a cluster of fire of life, they basically didn't need the essence soul elixir, but they could keep it for emergencies. At the very least, they could take it to the auction. If the essence soul elixir was taken to the auction, it would definitely be sold at an unprecedented price. Lu Xingchen shook his head and said with a smile, You can only look at it if you don't want to, unless you have the jade crystal flower. Yes. Some things can't be obtained just because you want them. We've already wasted a lot of time. We can't waste any more time here. Let's go and look. When Fire Beacon and the others aren't here, we'll leave immediately. Qin Feiyang said. Lu Xingchen said, I'll add that we'll split into 3 groups. Crocodile King and I will be in one group, Fatso and the Black Dragon Snake Clan, and Brother Qin and Wolf King will be in the other group. Be careful. Qin Feiyang nodded. Immediately, Lu Xingchen turned around with Crocodile King and searched along the right side of the mountain peak. Black Dragon Snake and Fatso searched along the left side of the mountain peak. Wolf King lay on Qin Feiyang's body and looked at Lu Xingchen's back. He asked telepathically, Little Qin Zi, is there really no other way? Yes. Qin Feiyang said to himself. The Wolf King was bewildered. Qin Feiyang said telepathically, do you still remember the strange flower I got from the lake? Wolf King nodded. At that time, I felt that the strange flower was a little familiar, but I couldn't remember it. Later, because I was in seclusion to break through the War Master realm, I didn't think too much about it. It wasn't until just now when Lu Xingchen mentioned the jade crystal flower that I suddenly remembered that it was the jade crystal flower. Qin Feiyang said. Really? Wolf King was surprised. Really? Qin Feiyang replied. Haha. So you deliberately sent Lu Xingchen and Crocodile King away to take the flower of death for yourself. You are indeed a cunning old fox. Wolf King laughed secretly and despised him. What are you talking about? I plan to take the flower of death for myself, but I want to get rid of Wan Qiu and the others Morb. Because if we don't get rid of these people, they will bring us trouble sooner or later. There's another factor. Since the mysterious man is helping Wan Qiu and the others, does he also know about the flower of death? If he knows, will he find a way to take it? Although this is just my guess, it's worth suspecting. Qin Feiyang said to himself. Wolf King said telepathically, you mean we should hide here and monitor? Yes. But before monitoring, I have to set up a trap first. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and he turned around and walked towards the foot of the mountain, pretending to look for Feng Hua and the others. Soon, he entered a small forest and saw that there was no one around. With a wave of his hand, Dong Zhengyang appeared out of thin air. Dong Zhengyang was about to ask, but Qin Feiyang hurriedly gestured for him to keep quiet. Dong Zhengyang was stunned and understood. He said telepathically, why are you being so mysterious? Qin Feiyang said secretly, I need your cooperation. How? Dong Zhengyang asked. Qin Feiyang said, pretend to be me and take Lu Xingchen and Fatso out of here later. What about you? Dong Zhengyang frowned. Qin Feiyang said telepathically, I'm going to stay here and wait for the mysterious man to show up. Wait for the mysterious man? Qin Feiyang, don't treat me as an idiot like Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong. If I'm not wrong, you should have a way to pick the flower of death. Your biggest purpose is to take the flower of death for yourself. Finding the mysterious man is just secondary. It's not right for you to do this. Dong Zhengyang sneered secretly. Qin Feiyang and Wolf King looked at each other, and there was a trace of deep helplessness in their eyes. Dong Zhengyang was not so easy to fool. I can cooperate with you, but you have to give me a soul elixir. This request is not too much, is it? Dong Zhengyang telepathically said. It was a clear price. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and agreed without hesitation. Because both the flower of death and the jade crystal flower had 3 leaves, he could refine 3 soul elixirs. In fact, he had the biggest share. Straightforward. Dong Zhengyang smiled secretly, took out a phantom elixir and threw it into his mouth. Soon, he turned into Qin Feiyang. Then, he looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, where is Wolf King? Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered for a while. Then he looked at Wolf King and said, you leave with Dong Zhengyang, but if there is a battle here, you must come to support me immediately. Even the white-eyed wolf could not catch up with the mysterious man, which showed how strong the mysterious man was. Therefore, before they really met, he dared not to take it lightly. Wolf King nodded, jumped on Dong Zhengyang's shoulder, jumped a few times, and said with a smile, Dong Zhengyang, it's quite comfortable to stay on your shoulder. Why don't you be my human pet? I promise I'll take good care of you. Get lost. Dong Zhengyang's face darkened, and he wanted to slap him. Humph. I'm the reincarnation of the peerless wolf. It's your honor to be my human pet. Don't be so ungrateful. If you don't agree now, I won't care if you beg to be my human pet in the future. Wolf King snickered. Crack. Dong Zhangyang clenched his hands, making a cracking sound. He gritted his teeth and transmitted a voice. Don't worry, this kind of thing will never happen. No one can be sure about the future, so don't boast too early. Wolf King said meaningfully. Dong Zhangyang immediately looked at Qin Feiyang angrily. It's like this. Forgive it, forgive it. Qin Feiyang smiled apologetically, glared at Wolf King, and transmitted a voice. Lu Xingchen and Fatso will be back soon. Let's go up. Dong Zhangyang took a deep breath, walked out of the woods with Wolf King, and climbed up to the top of the mountain. When they arrived at the top of the mountain, Fatso and Lu Xingchen had already returned. Fatso immediately asked, Boss, did you find anything? No. Dong Zhangyang shook his head and said, What about you guys? Fatso said, Nothing either. Dong Zhangyang glanced at the flower of death and said, Then let's not waste time. Let's go. But as he spoke, his eyes flashed, and he turned and rushed into the depths. Fatso also looked at the flower of death and sighed. What a pity. No matter how important the flower of death is, it's not as important as life. Moreover, his face was also black, and he could only roughly judge that he was a man from his body shape. Qin Feiyang frowned, his eyes flickering. Suddenly, he took out the Chong Shui, which was like a beautiful jade carving with a charming luster. The black-robed man didn't notice Qin Feiyang. He stepped on the piles of bones and walked straight toward the flower of death. 15 meters, 10 meters, 5 meters. When he was 2 meters away from the flower of death, the black-robed man waved his hand, and a palm-sized strange flower appeared out of thin air. This flower had a total of 3 leaves, which were like crystals, gushing out rays of light. Jade crystal flower. Qin Feiyang's eyes were shining. In his heart, there was a trace of disbelief. He even had a jade crystal flower. Who was this person? At the same time, the black-robed man grabbed the jade crystal flower, then stepped in front of the flower of death and stretched out his arm to grab the flower of death. Whoosh! It was also at this time. Qin Feiyang, like the incarnation of a cheetah, suddenly jumped out of the bushes, and then with the help of the gravity in the air, swooped down toward the black-robed man like lightning. Sir, I've been waiting for you for a long time. At the same time, he said coldly. The black-robed man was shocked and looked up. When he saw that it was Qin Feiyang, there was a trace of surprise in his eyes. This look, when Qin Feiyang's eyes met the black-robed man's, his eyes trembled. Swish! Under the pressure of gravity, he swooped down very fast, and in almost 2 breaths, he landed in front of the black-robed man. Then, he firmly grasped Chong Shui and stabbed toward the black-robed man's lower abdomen. Seeing Pale Snow's attack, a trace of fear crept into the black-robed man's eyes. He quickly bent his waist and arched his body. At the same time, he took a step back and narrowly dodged Pale Snow's attack. But when the black-robed man retreated, Qin Feiyang suddenly waved his arm upward, and Chong Shui's blade immediately slashed across the black-robed man's mask. In fact, the previous attack was just a pretense. Qin Feiyang's real purpose was the mask. Crack! The black mask was split into 2 on the spot, and streaks of blood flowed down from the black-robed man's face. Obviously, this cut left a wound on his face. But when the mask fell off, the black-robed man quickly turned around and fled this place without looking back. I already know who you are. Don't you think that you should kill me to silence me? Qin Feiyang did not chase after him. Looking at the black-robed man's back, he said lightly. Because even Wolf King could not catch up with him, let alone him. And he was not bluffing the black-robed man. Although he did not see the man's face clearly, he was too familiar with his eyes. The black-robed man stopped, but he did not look back or speak. What was he thinking about? Qin Feiyang sighed. To be honest, I'm very surprised. Why is it you? Haha. The black-robed man suddenly laughed and said, I'm also very surprised. You have already left with everyone. Why are you here? But this sentence was said through voice transmission. After that, Chapter 629. Blood dyed the black-robed man's face red, but Qin Feiyang could recognize him at a glance. It was Lu Xingchen. I don't understand. You're a 7 stars combat emperor, But why is your aura so strong? Even stronger than mine. Qin Feiyong furrowed his brows and secretly transmitted his voice. Lu Xingchen shook his head and said, "There are some things that you'd better not know." Qin Feiyong said, "Will it cause trouble?" "Who knows?" Lu Xingchen smiled faintly, as if he wasn't worried that Qin Feiyong would discover his identity. Qin Feiyong said, "Then why are you helping Kong Province and Yu Province? Putting aside the grudges between Wan Qiu's group and everyone else, let's just talk about the threat of these people." It could be said that Wan Qiu's group was one of the strongest competitors in this battle of the 9 states. Of course, it could also be said that these people were the obstacles to everyone entering the imperial capital. And Lu Xingchen couldn't have not thought of this. Logically speaking, he should have gotten rid of them at the first moment, but now he was saving them? Why was he doing this? It was absolutely impossible that Lu Xingchen didn't want to enter the imperial capital. Because if he didn't want to go, there was no need for him to participate in the Battle of the 9 States, so this matter was very strange. Lu Xingchen was silent for a moment, then took out a healing pill and threw it into his mouth. Then, he wiped the blood off his face and smiled secretly. "I have my reasons for doing this, but I can't tell you the reason yet." Qin Feiyong frowned and said, "Are you that fearless?" Lu Xingchen gave him the feeling that he wouldn't do anything, let alone expose Lu Xingchen's actions. He couldn't understand where Lu Xingchen found his confidence. Lu Xingchen said, "I'm not fearless, but we need each other." Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. What did he mean? Lu Xingchen transmitted his voice. "Do you need me to tell you everything? Tell me about it." Needless to say, Qin Feiyong really wanted to know. He felt as if Lu Xingchen had something on him. But he didn't seem to have done anything shameful. Lu Xingchen said, "Firstly, I am a 3-star war ancestor, and I also have a perfect slaughter and support battle art. Furthermore, I also have a spatial divine item, so you can't kill me." What? Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled, and his heart was in turmoil. Lu Xingchen pursed his lips into a smile and continued, "Secondly, and most importantly, I know your true identity. You are the son of the emperor of the great Qin Empire." Boom. Upon hearing this, Qin Feiyong felt as if he had been struck by a bolt from the blue, his head rumbling. He had always been tight-lipped about his true identity. Except for Fatso, Wolf King, the Pangolin, and Lu Hong, even Lin Yi, Luo Chenxue, and Ren Wushuang, the people closest to him, didn't know. But how did Lu Xingchen know? Did someone leak the secret to him? But was that possible? One had to know that whether it was Fatso and Lu Hong, Wolf King and the Pangolin, they were all people he trusted the most and could trust. It was absolutely impossible for him to leak secrets. Lu Xingchen transmitted his voice with a smile. "Are you surprised?" "To be honest, I have never understood why the son of the emperor would end up in a small town in our spiritual state." Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. "What else do you know?" Lu Xingchen smiled. "Except for your identity, I really don't know anything else. If you can solve the doubts in my heart, I am happy to listen." Qin Feiyong said, "When did you know?" "Very early." Lu Xingchen smiled and said vaguely. Qin Feiyong fell silent, and his eyes flickered. "Don't think about silencing me. You don't have the ability now. Of course, with your talent, you may have it in the future, but you'd better be honest for now. Don't get me wrong. I am not threatening you. On the contrary, I will help you." Lu Xingchen said. "Help me?" Qin Feiyong frowned. Lu Xingchen said, "Although I don't know why you left the capital, I can guess that there must be some reasons." Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed, and he said, "Continue. On the day you return to the capital, I expect that an unprecedented storm will be set off in the capital because of your appearance. At that time, as long as you, Qin Feiyong, say the word, I, Lu Xingchen, will definitely help you with all my strength. Even if your opponent is the current ruler, or even the current emperor, I will not back down even half a step." Lu Xingchen said firmly and decisively. Qin Feiyong's heart was shocked again. Isn't this Lu Xingchen's courage too shocking? He pondered for a while. Qin Feiyong shook his head and said, "I don't believe that pies will fall from the sky. Tell me your purpose." Lu Xingchen said with a smile, "You will know my purpose in the future, but this is only secondary. I am helping you mainly because I want to repay you." "Repay me?" Qin Feiyong frowned. "What's going on?" "Because I owe you a favor, and what I hate the most is to owe others a favor. Especially you, Qin Feiyang. Lu Xingqian smiled faintly. Qin Feiyang was confused, really confused. He couldn't keep calm even if he wanted to. Because from the beginning to the end, he and Lu Xingqian only had enmity and resentment between them. Where did the favor come from? There are some things that you may be confused about now, but when the time comes, you will know everything. Now tell me, what is your choice? Lu Xingqian said. I can't panic. Qin Feiyang closed his eyes and tried to calm himself down. Because he was in a very passive situation. Only when he calmed down and thought about it could he find an opportunity to turn the situation around and seize the initiative. Most importantly, he couldn't tell which of Lu Xingqian's words were true and which were false. Lu Xingqian looked at Qin Feiyang. His eyes flashed slightly, and he said telepathically, You may think that I am threatening you now, but it is actually the opposite. I don't mean that at all. After that, he added, to be honest, even if you don't keep it a secret for me, I will not reveal your identity. Qin Feiyang opened his eyes, which were shining, and said, My identity will be exposed sooner or later. Even if you reveal it now, it will not be a threat to me. He was taking a gamble. He had secrets, and so did Lu Xingqian. Now it was a matter of who cared more about these secrets. Lu Xingqian frowned and asked, Then what will it take for you to choose to reconcile? Qin Feiyang smiled. Lu Xingqian's question was enough to show that Lu Xingqian cared more about his own secrets. And the initiative was back in Qin Feiyang's hands. Sometimes, turning the situation around was that simple, as long as you could find the key point. I will keep my mouth shut about this matter. You don't need to tell me too much. I just want to know one thing. What is your relationship with Xiang Xiaolong? Qin Feiyang asked telepathically. Xiang Xiaolong? Lu Xingqian was taken aback. He thought that Qin Feiyang would ask some sharp questions, but he didn't expect that he would ask such an insignificant person like Xiang Xiaolong. This person's thoughts were indeed hard to guess. Qin Feiyang asked, Do you know what happened to Zhao He back then? Lu Xingqian said, Of course I know. He is that mysterious battle master. In order to track him down, you spent a lot of effort, and he also slaughtered countless people in the Dong family. At that time, the news was spread like wildfire. It was hard not to know. That's right. At that time, in order to find out his identity, we really racked our brains. But I remember that one time, in order to lure him out, I set up a trap and waited outside the prison with Yan Nanshan. But at that time, Xiang Xiaolong and his men quarreled with Xiao Jian in the Divine Temple, and Yan Nanshan was sent away. Later I asked around. Someone told me that this dispute was because Xiang Xiaolong was jealous of Xiao Jian for Dongfang Yu. Because of this, I went to meet Xiang Xiaolong. In the end, under my coercion, he told me that a woman arranged for him to do this. Later, Zhao He gave himself away and I caught him in the act. I thought the matter was over and didn't pay attention to it anymore. After all, it didn't matter whether I killed such a small character or not. But when I returned from Yunzhou that night, I suddenly found that things were far from as simple as I thought. Qin Feiyang telepathically said. Lu Xingqian's eyes flashed. He thought to himself, What happened that night? Qin Feiyang said, I found that Xiang Xiaolong met with someone at the top of a mountain, and the person they were talking about was me. And the person who met with Xiang Xiaolong was you. How do you explain that? Lu Xingqian's pupils shrank. He sighed and said, I didn't expect that I would still be caught red-handed by you even though I was so cautious. Are you now suspecting that Zhao He and I are in cahoots? Qin Feiyang said, I don't deny it. Lu Xingqian telepathically said, I can tell you very responsibly that the matter with Xiang Xiaolong had nothing to do with me, Lu Xingqian. Because I was already dead at that time. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows imperceptibly. Indeed. The matter with Xiang Xiaolong happened after Lu Xingqian's death. But for some reason, he felt that it had something to do with Lu Xingqian. Actually, my relationship with Xiang Xiaolong is very simple. He is just a chess piece that can do things for me. As for when I asked him to inquire about your situation, I admit that I had selfish motives. Because I know your identity, I have to know your whereabouts at all times. If you were unfortunately killed, wouldn't I have no one to repay my debt to? Lu Xingqian smiled telepathically. So, you are still protecting me? Qin Feiyong looked at him playfully. What else? Brother Qin, not everything is so complicated. Sometimes you have to think in a simpler way. Why do you have to rack your brains over some unimportant people or things? Lu Xingchen smiled. Qin Feiyong said, you have a hidden meaning in your words. You have to believe me. There really isn't. How about this? As a show of my sincerity, I will give you this jade crystal flower and the flower of death for free. Lu Xingchen was very straightforward. He directly handed the jade crystal flower to Qin Feiyong without any reluctance. I will accept the flower of death, but I don't want the jade crystal flower. Qin Feiyong said lightly. Because as long as he accepted the jade crystal flower, he and Lu Xingchen would be bound together. If Lu Xingchen was an upright person, it wouldn't matter. But the key was that this person had a lot of secrets. He couldn't get too close to him. Lu Xingchen was a little stunned. Obviously, he didn't expect Qin Feiyong to refuse the jade crystal flower. One had to know that this was a rare treasure. Others couldn't have it even if they wanted it. After coming back to his senses, he smiled telepathically and said, without this jade crystal flower, how can you get the flower of death? Don't be polite with me. Take it. In this world, you are not the only one who has the jade crystal flower. Qin Feiyong patted his Xueqi bag, and a sparkling and translucent jade crystal flower instantly appeared. Lu Xingchen was surprised. He then shook his head and said, Brother Qin, you are very shrewd. Aren't you the same? You both want to take it for yourself. Why do you have to say such sarcastic words? Qin Feiyong didn't hide his sneer. Then, he grabbed the jade crystal flower and the flower of death. He carefully pulled them out. When he grabbed the flower of death, an invisible energy surged into his palm and quickly spread to his limbs. Sooner or later, I will dig out all your secrets and reveal your true colors. Fatso said with a sinister smile, it's your eyes. To be honest, your eyes are very special. There's a trace of darkness in your indifference. This means that your heart is not pure, right? Your heart is not pure. Dong Zhengyang's face twitched. Although he was not a good person, he was at least a reasonable person who knew right from wrong. Was it as bad as Fatso said? Rolling his eyes at Fatso, Dong Zhengyang took a facial restoration pill and quickly restored his true appearance. It's really you. Fatso was just joking just now. Don't take it seriously. Actually, your heart is not impure. It's just a little, yes, dirty, that's all. Fatso laughed sinisterly. Get lost. Dong Zhengyang's veins were bulging. It seemed dirty, but it was more unbearable than impure. The most outrageous thing was that he said that was all? Wasn't this an insult to his character? I was joking. Fat Lord swears in the name of boss that he has no ill intentions. Brother Dong, please don't be angry. Fatso said with an apologetic smile. In my name? Qin Feiyong's face darkened. Dong Zhengyang was even more furious. When did he become a brother? Top quality. The two shook their heads. The helplessness in their hearts could only turn into silent sighs. Qin Feiyong collected his thoughts and walked to Fatso's side. He looked at the battlefield in the center of the plain and asked, how's the battle going? Dong Zhengyang said in a deep voice, that woman is very powerful. Even Wan Qiu was suppressed by her. What? Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled. Standing at this position, he could clearly see the woman's true appearance. This woman was around 1.75 meters tall and wore a white dress. Her figure was very good, and she was curvy where she should be, but her appearance was very ordinary. She was the kind of woman who wouldn't even look at her if she passed by. However, her temperament was outstanding. Her skin was also very soft. On the clothes on her chest, there was indeed the word Feng embroidered. And after Qin Feiyong's observation, Wan Qiu was indeed being suppressed by this woman. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong frowned and shook his head. Something's wrong. What's wrong? Fatso and the others were bewildered. Qin Feiyong asked, that woman's cultivation, is she a 3-star war master? That's right. Fatso nodded. She is a 3-star war master, and Wan Qiu is also a 3-star war master. Furthermore, Wan Qiu has grasped a perfect support-type battle art. How could she be a match for Wan Qiu? Qin Feiyong said. Fatso and Dong Zhengyang looked at each other. That's right. What was going on? It didn't make sense. Qin Feiyong pondered for a moment and said, where did Wan Qiu suffer a loss just now? Battle art. In the beginning, they were evenly matched, but when they used their battle arts, Wan Qiu gradually fell into a disadvantage. Wan Qiu smiled coldly. The bloody giant hand above suddenly broke through the air, exuding an unparalleled murderous aura. Even the void here was dyed blood red. Ignorant. Seeing this, the woman shook her head and gently waved her hand. Rays of sword qi surged out and hovered around her. Her long hair and clothes fluttered in the wind. At this time, she was like a sharp blade, exuding a shocking sharpness. Condense. With a low shout, the sword qi around her surged into the sky and condensed into a 3-foot-long sword, shining with a dazzling light. That terrifying sharpness could topple mountains and overturn seas, tearing the earth apart. Sacred Sword Judgment. The woman looked straight at Wan Qiu, her eyes shining with a terrifying light. She pressed her finger down, and the 3-foot-long thin sword cut through the sky, carrying thousands of rays of sword qi, and slashed at the bloody giant hand. Boom! The two collided. In the end, under Qin Feiyong's astonished gaze, the battle sword effortlessly cut the blood-colored giant hand into 2 halves, and then it quickly dissipated. This is... Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled, and his face was full of disbelief. What is this? Wolf King, Fatso, Dong Zhengyang, Black Dragon Snake, and King Crocodile looked at him in surprise. A perfect battle technique. Qin Feiyong said word by word. What? Fatso and the others were shocked. What was going on? Were perfect battle techniques really rampant? Qin Feiyong looked at the woman in disbelief. Before entering the Netherworld, he thought that only he, Fatso, Wolf King, and Lu Hong had perfect battle techniques in the 9 prefectures. He never expected that not only Wan Qiu of Yuzhou, but also the people of Fengzhou had perfect battle techniques. It seemed that winning the battle of the 9 prefectures was more difficult than he thought. Qin Feiyong turned his gaze and looked at Wan Qiu. Wan Qiu was half kneeling on the ground, clutching his chest with both hands. Blood kept coming out of his mouth, and his hair was disheveled. Obviously, the previous collision had caused fatal injuries to him. However, Chapter 631. Wolf King laughed sinisterly. Wan Qiu has already gone crazy. I'm afraid he's going to activate his battle soul. Qin Feiyong said, when he activates his battle soul, you can find a chance to take it away from him. Do I need you to tell me that? Wolf King rolled his eyes at him. In this 9 provinces Great War, Wan Qiu could be considered a peak expert with his strength. If his battle soul was taken away, then even if he was a 3-star war master and had a perfect support-type battle art, he would not be a threat. Boom! Wan Qiu waved his hand and a bloody light flowed up like a tide, condensing into a sea of blood above his head, emitting a monstrous baleful aura. What kind of battle soul is this? Wolf King was bewildered. Other than the sea of blood, he did not see anything else. Could it be that Wan Qiu's battle soul was this sea of blood? Fatso said, this is not a battle soul, it's his battle art. Roar! As soon as he finished, a beast-like roar sounded from the sea of blood. Following closely, a huge creature roared out from the sea of blood. It was a huge beast. Its entire body seemed to be made of rocks, and it was dozens of feet tall. It was like a towering mountain, lying horizontally in the sky. Its entire body was filled with a ruthless and bloody aura. Fatso explained, this battle art is called the Hellstone Beast. When we went ashore, Fat Lord used this battle art when he fought with him. Its lethality is not bad. Roar! The Hellstone Beast roared and swooped down towards the woman. However, the woman's expression was still calm, as if she did not care at all. The Hellstone Beast arrived in an instant, its baleful aura overflowing. Clang! It was also at this moment. The woman suddenly attacked. With a wave of her jade-like hand, sword qi surged and a thin sword instantly condensed. Soul-shattering sword. Next. The woman grabbed the sword hilt and slashed at the air. With a wail, the hellstone beast was cut in half. Damn. Fatso's pupils constricted. This is also a perfect battle art. Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled. This woman actually possessed two perfect slaughter battle arts. It was too inconceivable, too inconceivable. Wolf King said, Wan Qiu will only have a chance of winning if he activates his battle soul. Maybe even if he activates his battle soul, he still won't be a match for that little girl. The strength that the woman had displayed was something that even it was wary of. True enough. Wan Qiu had activated his battle soul. Voila! Waves of bloody light surged out from Wan Qiu's back and gathered in the air, forming a surging sea of blood. Hell Demon God! Following his furious roar, the sea of blood swiftly gathered and formed 100-jong-tall crimson figure. The blood shadow was in the shape of a human, but it did not have a face. Its body was only an outline, but it was like a true demon that had broken through the world, emitting a monstrous demonic aura. Qin Feiyong frowned as he looked at the Wolf King and said, His fighting soul seems to be somewhat similar to yours. Are you blind? Other than the fact that it doesn't have a face, what do you think is similar? The Wolf King rolled his eyes and continued, But this kind of fighting soul is usually very heaven-defying. What do you mean? Qin Feiyong and the others looked at it suspiciously. I've studied it for a long time and finally came to a conclusion. The reason why my battle soul can't manifest its true body is because I'm not strong enough. I think Wan Qiu's battle soul is the same. Wolf King said. Qin Feiyong and the others narrowed their eyes. Clang! There was a deafening explosion. Soon after, Qin Feiyong and the others sensed an earth-shattering sharpness surging toward them with earth-shattering momentum. They looked up and saw a flash of sword light rushing out from behind the woman. In the flash of sword light, there was a pocket-sized sword the size of a thumb. It was crystal clear, as if it was carved out of crystal. Is this her battle soul? Qin Feiyong and the others were stunned. No matter how they looked at it, this pocket-sized sword could not be compared to Wan Qiu's battle soul. Boom! However, to their surprise, when the two battle souls collided, Wan Qiu's battle soul was directly suppressed by the pocket-sized sword. Dong Zhengyang sighed. This woman is powerful. Wolf King said, Little Qin Zi, she will definitely become a strong opponent. Should we kill them together? Before Qin Feiyong could speak, Fatso said. Nonsense, of course we have to kill them. Brother Wolf, take away their battle souls. Anyone who entered the 9th level of the underworld had only one purpose: to enter the imperial capital. In order to enter the imperial capital, whether it was people from the other major states or their fellow disciples, they were all enemies. Wait a little longer. Qin Feiyong transmitted his voice. Now was not the best time to make a move. In the sky above the plain, due to the fierce collision of the two battle souls, a terrifying destructive force was born. The ground trembled, cracked, and collapsed. After a few breaths, Wan Qiu's battle soul was finally defeated and showed signs of collapsing. This was absolutely not allowed. Because once the battle soul disintegrated, it would definitely cause fatal damage to Wan Qiu. Innate divine power, Demon God's hand. His face was ferocious as he roared into the sky. The demon god of hell standing in the sky suddenly stretched out his giant hand and slapped at the pocket-sized sword. Demonic power surged and shook all directions. At the same time, the giant hand released an invisible force that surged toward the woman. The moment the invisible force enveloped the woman, her expression changed. Qin Feiyong was surprised. One had to know that from the beginning to the end, this woman had been calm and collected. But now, her face had changed. In just an instant, a sword chi barrier that was hundreds of meters wide appeared out of nowhere, trapping Wan Qiu and the hell demon god inside. Is there a point to this? Wan Qiu sneered. You'll know soon enough whether it's meaningful or not. The woman glanced at him indifferently and looked into the void. Her eyes gradually turned sharp. Clang! Suddenly, it turned out that countless battle swords had appeared in the empty void. Each of the swords was 3 feet long and 3 fingers wide. They seemed to be made of cold iron and exuded a sharp aura that could destroy the world. Whoosh! Immediately after, the sea of battle swords turned into streams of light and met the gigantic hand of the demon of hell. Boom! The two collided like comets and shook the world. In terms of power, the the battle swords could not compare to the gigantic hand. However, there were many battle swords and they were endless. In less than 5 breaths, with a loud bang, the gigantic hand disintegrated. Immediately after, the densely packed battle sword swarmed towards Wan Qiu's war soul, the demon of hell. Boom! The demon of hell disintegrated in less than 5 breaths. Wan Qiu's body trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with disbelief. What he found most unacceptable was that not a single battle sword in the sword realm was missing. The power of each of these battle swords is comparable to a perfect grade battle art. Even if they shatter, they will reappear with a thought from me. You can understand it this way. As long as the sword realm is not broken and the sword soul is not destroyed, the battle swords will be endless. This is my innate ability, the sword realm. How does it feel? The woman stood proudly on the ground and looked at Wan Qiu indifferently. That contemptuous gaze and cold and arrogant attitude caused Wan Qiu to be infuriated to the extreme, and he roared, "Then I'll blast apart the sword domain, shatter the sword soul, and make you die a graveless death." Boom! He was completely mad. 2 streams of battle chi poured out of his body like torrents. One stream of battle chi blasted towards the barrier of the sword realm. The other stream of battle chi blasted towards the small sword floating in the middle of the sword realm. Give up. In here, all attacks are futile, unless you have absolute strength. The woman shook her head. The battle swords floating in the air moved together and lunged towards the 2 streams of battle chi. In the end, before the 2 streams of battle chi could get close to the small sword and the barrier of the sword realm, they were completely destroyed. Damn! Isn't this little girl a little too fierce? Seeing this scene, Wolf King's eyes almost popped out. Qin Feiyang and the others were also dumbfounded. They had always thought that the Serene Prefecture and Kong Prefecture were their biggest threat. The densely packed battle swords in the void suddenly turned into a dazzling sword light that surged toward Wan Qiu. The terrifying sword light was earth-shattering and instantly drowned Wan Qiu, causing him to feel cold all over. Why? Wan Qiu roared. He would never believe that this woman was targeting him just because she didn't like him. There must be other reasons. Why? The woman muttered to herself. After a moment of silence, she suddenly sent a voice transmission. You can only blame yourself for being blind and provoking a man you can't afford to provoke. Who? Wan Qiu roared. Someone you know very well. The woman abruptly turned her head to the side and saw Feng Wuxie and the other 3 rushing over. There are so many people who want to dive. However, even if you don't come, I won't let you go after I kill this person. The woman whispered. Although it was a whisper, it was clearly heard by Wan Qiu, causing his mind to be greatly shaken. It turned out that this woman's target was not only him, but also Feng Wuxie and the other 3. You're really arrogant. Wan Qiu stared at the woman and said in a bone-chilling tone. Arrogant? Why don't I think so? Maybe our views are different. In my eyes, the people I'm killing now are just unimportant people. The woman said indifferently, full of contempt. I'm unimportant? Wan Qiu's eyes turned red when he heard this. Accompanied by a loud bang, a monstrous blood-red light roared out from his body. The battle soul reappeared. Demon God's hand, kill! With a roar, the demon god of hell immediately stretched out its giant hand and slapped at the sword light with shocking demonic power. An invisible force spread out and imprisoned the woman's battle chi. Actually, he had already calmed down. After all, how could the strongest person in Yuzhou be so weak? He was purely stalling for time. Because the woman already had the intention to kill, if he did not think of a way to stall for time, he would probably die in the woman's hands before Feng Wuxie and the other 3 arrived. Boom! The giant hand slammed down fiercely, shattering the swords one by one, but the giant hand was also collapsing. Hurry up! At the same time, Fire Beacon secretly sent a voice transmission to Feng Wuxie and the twin sisters. A few hundred meters was nothing to the battle sect. Before the demon god of hell's giant hand collapsed, they rushed over and stood a dozen meters away from the sword domain. Boom! Without hesitation, the 4 of them activated their battle souls. Feng Wuxie's battle soul, Fire Phoenix. Fire Beacon's battle soul, Golden God of War. The twin sisters' battle souls were both ice phoenixes. They were dozens of feet tall and seemed to be cast from ice. Their ferocity was unparalleled. When the 4 battle souls appeared, the demon god of hell's giant hand completely collapsed. Wan Qiu spat out blood and his internal organs were injured. At this moment, he was extremely weak. Fire Beacon roared, "Wan Qiu, hold on for a while longer. Let's attack from the inside and crush the sword domain. Don't worry, I'm tough. No one can kill me." Wan Qiu laughed sinisterly. Roar! The demon god of hell standing above him suddenly turned around and punched the barrier. Break! Feng Wuxie and the other 3 roared. The 4 battle souls moved together with a monstrous might and attacked the sword domain. This is a good opportunity. At the same time, Fatso's eyes lit up and he said excitedly, "Brother Wolf, this is a godsend opportunity. Hurry up and attack." As long as they took away their battle souls, they would not be a match for them even if they had heaven-defying abilities. Wolf King was also very tempted. He looked at Qin Feiyang and asked for Qin Feiyang's opinion. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and he said without hesitation, "Attack." The opportunity was fleeting and he could not hesitate. Moreover, this was the opportunity he had been waiting for. Hee hee. Wolf King laughed sinisterly. A bright golden light appeared behind him and surged into the sky like a waterfall. In the blink of an eye, the golden beast shadow appeared. The peerlessly terrifying ferocious might was like the raging waves of a vast ocean, surging out in all directions. What's going on? At that moment, the woman, Wan Qiu, and Feng Wuxie all looked over in surprise. Seeing the golden beast shadow, Feng Wuxie's expression changed and he roared, "Oh no, it's the battle soul of Ruffian Wolf." Ruffian Wolf. Does that mean Qin Feiyang is here too? They hurriedly looked down at the golden beast shadow. When Qin Feiyang and the others entered their line of sight, a sense of despair rose in their hearts. The woman from Fengzhou was already very difficult to deal with. Now that Qin Feiyang and the others were here, was there any chance of survival? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "We meet again so soon, we are truly fated." To hell with this fate. Their faces darkened and they could not help but curse in their hearts. Suddenly, Feng Wuxie seemed to have thought of something and shouted, "Quickly withdraw your battle souls. Deprive." But it was too late. With Wolf King's low roar, the golden beast shadow suddenly opened its mouth. Wan Qiu and the others and the woman's battle souls immediately flew uncontrollably into the mouth. "Haha, we've struck it big this time," Fatso shouted excitedly. Originally, they only planned to deprive the woman and Wan Qiu of their battle souls. They did not expect Feng Wuxie and the others to also activate their battle souls at this time. Wasn't this a dish delivered to their door? Damn it! Bastard! Beast, I won't forgive you. But Wan Qiu and the others roared again and again. Their faces were pale. However, the woman in Fengzhou was somewhat unfathomable. She curiously looked at Wolf King, as if she was not worried about her battle soul being deprived. Suddenly, her gaze turned and fell on Qin Feiyang's face. There was a faint smile on her face. "Qin Feiyang, we finally meet." The woman muttered to herself and cupped her hands. "I hope Brother Qin and Wolf King can be merciful." Qin Feiyang was taken aback and smiled. "What's the reason?" "There is no reason." The woman shook her head. Qin Feiyang said, "Then there's no other way. You're still the same as before. Cold and ruthless to outsiders." The woman murmured. Not only was she not angry, the smile on her face became even brighter. Qin Feiyang was puzzled. What was this woman smiling about? Boom! But suddenly, a powerful aura emerged from the forest on the left side of the plain. "There's someone else?" Everyone was shocked and looked in the direction of the sound. They immediately saw a bright beam of light piercing through the air like lightning. Boom! That beam of light carried a great power and instantly destroyed the battle souls of Wan Qiu and the others. Lu Xingchen. Looking at this scene, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. "Let's go." At the same time, Feng Hu roared, turned around, and fled into the depths. Feng Wuxie, the sisters, and Wan Qiu also quickly retreated and soon disappeared without a trace. "Damn it! Fatso, Dong Zhengyang, Black Dragon Snake, go after Wan Qiu and the others." Wolf King roared in exasperation. Then he used the void escape step and rushed to the forest on the left side of the plain. But then, Qin Feiyong said, "Don't chase." Wolf King and Fatso were stunned and looked at Qin Feiyong in confusion. Qin Feiyong did not explain and looked up at the woman. Coincidentally, the woman also looked at Qin Feiyong and said with a smile, "Brother Qin, you're not going to bully a weak woman like me, are you?" Qin Feiyong smiled and asked, "Do you think you're weak?" The woman smiled and said, "In front of others, my strength is as but in front of Brother Qin, I really don't have much confidence." Qin Feiyong asked curiously, "Then why aren't you nervous at all?" "You're not a man-eating demon. Why should I be nervous?" the woman asked. Qin Feiyong said, "But many people say that I'm a demon." The woman said, "That's someone else, not me." Qin Feiyong laughed involuntarily. This woman was indeed a bit interesting. He said, "May I know Mrs. Name?" "This." The woman hesitated for a moment and said with a smile, "You'll know in the future. Goodbye." Then, the woman turned around, took a mysterious step, and quickly disappeared from the sight of Qin Feiyong and the others. Looking at the woman's back, the smile on Qin Feiyong's face instantly disappeared, and his pupils contracted tightly. Wolf King also stared at the woman's back and said in a deep voice, "Little Qin Zi, you noticed it too, right?" Qin Feiyong nodded. Chapter 633. Auxiliary battle arts and killing battle arts were all at the perfect level. What was the background of this woman? Wolf King suddenly transmitted his voice. "Little Qin Zi, are there many perfect battle arts in the capital?" Qin Feiyong was slightly stunned and frowned. "Do you suspect that she is from the capital? Then tell me, is there any other explanation?" Wolf King asked back. Qin Feiyong said, "There are indeed many perfect battle arts in the capital, but we can't judge that she is from the capital." "Why?" Wolf King was puzzled. If she is from the capital, why is she in Feng State and why did she participate in the Battle of the 9 Provinces? Besides, there are no perfect battle arts in the 9 provinces, but it doesn't mean that there are none in other places. For example, places like the Forgotten Land. Qin Feiyong secretly said. Wolf King nodded without leaving a trace. What Qin Feiyong said was indeed reasonable. Whoosh! At this moment, there was a sound of something breaking through the air. Everyone looked over and saw a young man in white galloping out of the jungle on the other side. It was Lu Xingchen. Fatso and the others were surprised. When did Lu Xingchen leave? You are really careless. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes at them. The man had just slipped away in front of him, but they didn't react until now. However, it was also because of the carelessness of Fatso and the others that he knew that Lu Xingchen was the mysterious man. Soon, Lu Xingchen came to them and said with a smile, "Is it over? What's the result?" Qin Feiyong coldly looked at Lu Xingchen and said, "In the end, that mysterious person messed things up again." Lu Xingchen looked a little embarrassed and said, "It seems that this mysterious man has been secretly watching us." "Humph, you'd better not let me catch you." Wolf King coldly snorted and said in a deep voice, "Where did you go just now? The mysterious man appeared twice, but you disappeared inexplicably. Is this a coincidence? Earlier, I suddenly saw a figure flash by in the forest here, so I went over to take a look. In the end, I realized that I was seeing things." Lu Xingchen shook his head and smiled. "Human shadow?" Everyone was bewildered. Fatso frowned. "Then why didn't you tell us?" Lu Xingchen said, "I'm just afraid of alerting the enemy." "You are really bold. If there was really an expert hiding there, with your strength as a 7 stars combat emperor, I'm afraid you would have died without a burial place." Wolf King sneered. "Even if there is, he wouldn't dare to make a move. After all of you are here. If there is any movement, you will immediately notice it." Lu Xingchen smiled. Fatso and the others were still doubtful. Because it was too much of a coincidence, it was hard to believe. "Okay, cut the crap. Let's go," Qin Feiyong said. Lu Xingchen looked at Qin Feiyong gratefully and said with a smile, "Let the king crocodile carry us. We can also cultivate on the way." Qin Feiyong nodded. The group jumped onto the king crocodile's back one after another. Lu Xingchen ordered, and the king crocodile strode forward and flew into the depths of the forest. Qin Feiyong stood at the front with his hands behind his back, looking into the depths of the forest. His dark eyes were incomparably deep. Lu Xingchen looked at his back and walked to Qin Feiyong. He transmitted his voice. "Don't you want to ask me something?" Qin Feiyong said, "If I ask, will you answer?" "No." Lu Xingchen shook his head. "Then do I need to ask? However, just because I didn't ask doesn't mean I don't care. I don't care what you do, but don't do anything to hurt us." Qin Feiyong said. "Don't worry. I know what I'm doing." Lu Xingchen nodded. "You better know what you're doing." Qin Feiyong looked at him meaningfully, then turned to Fatso and Wolf King. He said, "I'm going to the castle. You guys cultivate outside." "Okay." The man and beast nodded. They also knew the purpose of Qin Feiyong going to the castle. Alchemy scripture. 6-word formula. Because he had broken through to War Master, Qin Feiyong could open the next page of the alchemy scripture and 6-word formula. Whoosh! Qin Feiyong flashed and disappeared without a trace. The exposed castle also landed on the king crocodile's back and continued to move forward. Inside the castle. "Brother Qin, who is that mysterious man?" As soon as Qin Feiyong entered, Shenlong and the others surrounded him, their eyes full of surprise. "I don't know either." Qin Feiyong shook his head. "You don't know?" Everyone was stunned. Jiang Wei was puzzled. "Then why did you say that you already know who he is?" "I did see him, but he was wearing a mask. I said that to scare him, but he didn't fall for it." Qin Feiyong said, looking helpless. He guessed that these people would definitely ask, so he thought of an answer in advance. "I see." Everyone suddenly understood. Qin Feiyong looked up at the iron box on the altar, then looked at the crowd and said, "Now that we've left the swamp, and everyone's strength has improved during this period of cultivation, we can't always stay here." Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Qin Feiyong was obviously asking them to leave. But the key was that it was too dangerous outside, and many people didn't want to leave. Shenlong said, "Brother Qin is right. If we keep hiding here, then what's the point of coming to the 9 Nether Yellow Springs?" Wu Yan snorted. "You're a 1-star battlemaster now, so of course you have the right to say that. But we're all war emperors." Su Yong smiled flatteringly. "Senior Brother Qin, why don't you do a good deed and help everyone break through to the Battlemaster realm?" As soon as he said that, those who hadn't broken through to the Battlemaster realm couldn't help but have green light in their eyes. Qin Feiyong glanced at the two of them and said, "If I don't help you, are you going to stay here and not leave?" "We wouldn't dare, we wouldn't dare." Wu Yan and the others hurriedly waved their hands, their faces full of fear. "I think that's what you're thinking. Let me give you a kind advice. Don't be so ungrateful. I've already done my best to bring you here safely. Also, I'm not begging you to leave, I'm throwing you out." After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he really threw Wu Yan and the others out. In the blink of an eye, only Lu Hong and the others, Ren Wushuang, Shenlong, Jiang Wei, and Shen Mei were left in the castle. Sigh. I really feel sorry for these people. Shenlong sighed. There's nothing I can do about it. That's how the human heart is. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly, and warned, Ren Wushuang has already reached the critical moment of his breakthrough, so he will stay in the castle for now. After you go out, pay more attention to Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong's movements. The 3 of them nodded. Qin Feiyong waved his hand, and after sending the 3 of them out of the castle, he turned and walked towards the altar. At this moment, Lu Hong opened his eyes and asked, Qin Feiyong, you really don't know who that mysterious person is? Qin Feiyong replied without turning his head. I know, it's Lu Xingchen. It's actually him. Lu Hong's gaze trembled. At the same time, Ran Wushuang, Lin Yi, Luo Chenxue, and the pangolin also opened their eyes. Their hearts were full of disbelief. Qin Feiyong said, this person is not simple. You have to be extra careful when facing him in the future. They nodded. Then, they didn't ask anything, closed their eyes, and continued to cultivate. Qin Feiyong also cut his finger, squeezed out a drop of blood, opened the iron box, took out the pill scripture and Chenkuan pouch, and then opened the 6-word divine formula. When he turned to the 3rd page, a terrifying murderous aura surged out like a tide. On the page, there was a vigorous and powerful word with murderous aura. At the same time, after separating from Qin Feiyong and the others, the woman from Feng State rushed straight to the south. After a few hundred breaths, she stopped in front of a mountain peak about 1,000 feet high, looked up at the mountain peak, and rushed towards the mountain peak. On the edge of a cliff on the top of the mountain, there was a woman in white standing against the wind. Her appearance was not outstanding, but her temperament was very unique. After the woman who fought with Wan Qiu reached the top of the mountain, she ran towards the woman on the cliff and smiled. "I'm back." The woman in white turned around and asked with concern, "How are you? Are you hurt?" "How can I be hurt? If it weren't for Qin Feiyong and Wolf King coming to join in the fun, none of the people from Yuzhou and Kong State will leave here alive," the woman said disdainfully, looking quite arrogant.